Aflac.
The following is a presentation of WGN Sports.
The beautiful Queen City on the banks of the Ohio River. The riverboats decked out for summer fun. And two improving teams in the National League Central Division are on deck to start a three-game series in Riverfront Stadium. It's the Cubs and Reds next.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN. Brought to you by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. The stars of Chicagoland, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealers. Electric Avenue Montgomery Ward, the store for great prices on brand name electronics and appliances. Pepsi. Drink Pepsi. Get stuffed. Aflac, insuring over 38 million people worldwide. And by Southwest Airlines, celebrating 25 years of low fares, frequent flights, and fun.
Start your day with WGN Morning News.
Larry, did you tell Bill about Pam?
Oh, God. He set me up with his neighbor to go to the premiere of Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie Eraser.
Is that right?
And let me tell you, he described Pam as cute, but completely did not build her high enough. She was gorgeous. Most perfect-looking woman you ever saw in your life.
Hey, look at Sam. He's just glowing.
Now, what did he do for you when you went to L.A.?
Because anything can happen.
Me and his cabana boy, Rudy, went for ice cream.
After one half of football, San Francisco leads New York 540 to 310.
In the future, it won't be just how hard you play, but how good your sports drink works. With a third more carbs than Gatorade and B vitamins to unlock carbohydrate energy. All Sport is not just a thirst quencher. It's a body quencher.
Isn't that new 300-pound ball?
Yeah, here you go.
Hi, everybody. Wayne Larrabee and Steve Stone. Welcome to Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. Two of the more improving teams in the National League Central Division getting together. Steve, the Reds have won 9 of their last 13. The Cubs 8 of their last 13. And the Cubs off to a great start on their longest road trip of the season.
Well, the Cubs are 4-2 on the trip. It's proven to be a good one. And the Reds, a crippled team the last time the Cubs looked at them, right now are very healthy, Wayne. They've got John Smiley going to the mound. Smiley's 7-6 this year. Frank Castillo for the Cubs, he's 2-9. But I don't think you'll recognize the Reds, and they're going to try to run Scott Service out of the ballpark.
All right, the 5 stolen bases for the Dodgers the other night in Los Angeles, so we'll beware of what's happening on the bases here tonight. Back with the starting lineups and the first pitch after these messages.
Some scientists are telling us the world is getting warmer. Hey, guess we're gonna need some cooler drinks. Introducing icebreakers, the Screwdriver, the Sea Breeze, the New Orleans Hurricane. Refreshingly frozen right from your freezer, alcohol included, and basically cooler than anything you've ever tasted. Icebreakers, you're in for the chill of your life.
Rust-Oleum, the ultimate defense against weather.
Work boots. Tough on the outside, tough on your feet inside. Not enough cushioning. Dr. Scholl's Maximum Comfort work insoles give you 100% more cushioning. They make work easier on your feet.
Wayne Larrabee, Steve Stone back at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, and here are the lineups for the Chicago Cubs. The Mountain Dew batting order: Brian McRae in center field, Doug Glanville in left, Mark Grace at first base, and then Sammy Sosa, Leo Gomez, Ryan Sandberg, Service, Hernandez, and Castillo round out the lineup. And in the field defensively, Thomas Howard in left, Eric Davis in center, Reggie Sanders in right for the Reds, then Sabo, Larkin, Boone, and Morris left to right across the infield in the battery of Smiley and Taubensee. Dana DeButh behind home plate tonight. Rich Riker at first base, Charlie Relaford at second, and Jim Quick at third.
There's a look at John Smiley, who's 7-7 lifetime against the Cubs, but a high ERA of 4.85. A vastly different pitcher from the days he came up with the Pittsburgh Pirates when he was a fireballer. He still has a very good fastball, but now he uses the straight change. He's got a good slider. He'll run in on the hands of the right-hand hitters. And John Smiley has been a very good pitcher of late. In fact, he was the first man that really triggered the run of pitching the Reds have experienced. They've won 5 games in a row. The pitching has been magnificent. And it all started with a performance by John Smiley.
So the look at Smiley's numbers, and Brian McRae steps up for the Cubs. McRae at 274 with 3 homers and 26 runs batted in. The Cubs and Reds, both teams playing well, and here's the first pitch of the game. It's grounded foul on the third base side. The Cubs at 37-40, and the Reds come in with a record of 34-38. But these two teams are certainly in the hunt in the National League Central Division, where everybody is in the ball game. 3 games separate top to bottom. Mark Grace returns tonight. Spent some time on the disabled list with back problems. McRae takes the pitch in the dirt. It's 1 ball to 1 strike. The Reds starting pitching, how good has it been? Well, of late, they've allowed just 2 earned runs in 37 innings pitched. That pitch is taken down low, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
It's a humid, very warm evening, 92 degrees at game time.
And the 2-1 delivery. McRae fouls it off. Of course, Brian, the son of Reds batting instructor Hal McRae, former Kansas City Royals manager. There is John Smiley on the mound, former Pittsburgh Pirate. And against the Reds, Brian's had pretty good success. Here's the 2-2 pitch, and that just did miss. Frank Castillo is set to go tonight for the Cubs, trying to put together his 3rd strong outing in a row.
And he'll have to pay close attention to the base runners. The Reds 2nd in the league in stolen bases.
McRae swings and fouls it back, and that got the radio booth to our right.
Well, I told you, Wayne, you have to be heads up for foul balls here in Cincinnati because we're right in the path of the right-hand hitter, and we will get the occasional souvenir. Some of them a little harder than you might want back up this way.
You mean some of them come back here to eat?
Come back in a hurry.
Here's the 3-2 pitch to McRae, and a wave and a miss, strike 3. Off-speed pitch from the left-hander John Smiley. 1 out, nobody on for Doug Glanville getting a start. Glanville hitless in his last couple of games, batting at 167, 4 for 24 with no homers and 2 runs batted in.
With a left-hander on the mound, it's not a bad idea to think about a bunt. With that in mind, Chris Sabo is in even with a bag at 3rd.
Glanville swings and chops it into shallow left field, just beyond the reach of Barry Larkin, and Glanville is aboard with what sounded like a broken bat base hit to left.
There'll be no no-hitters tonight for John Smiley, and the Cubs would love to get on top early in this one. They know the Reds in their ballpark are a pretty good team.
Well, it brings up Mark Grace with a runner aboard. Reds at home 17-19, but of late they've been very good, and they got off to a bad start, Steve. A lot of injuries, and they still have a pretty lengthy injury list just from the other night.
Well, they've got Reggie Sanders back, and he's the big man in the middle of the lineup. Brett Boone is just starting to get healthy, and he's another man that's a force offensively.
Grace with his first swing dumps a single into center field, and Glanville advances to second base. The Cubs have runners at first and second and only 1 out.
Well, here's Mark Grace spending over 2 weeks out of the lineup, didn't have any rehab anywhere, and comes out on his first swing and does what Mark Grace has done his entire career. A base hit, and the Cubs have a chance to break through in the first inning.
Well, runners on first and second now for Sammy Sosa, the National League leader in homers with 25. The last 9 games, Sosa 6 for 19 at the plate. In the last 23 games, he's hitting .295 with 7 doubles, 9 homers, and 20 runs batted in. And he takes a pitch high and tight. 1 ball, no strikes. John Smiley hasn't faced the Cubs since July 23rd of last season. And as we mentioned, he's 7-7 lifetime against Chicago. Here's the 1-0 pitch, and it's hit sharply, knocked down by the third baseman. Sabo doesn't have a play, and the bases are loaded.
And that will go as an error on Chris Sabo. It looked like it would have been a double play, but instead Sabo commits his 4th error of the year. This is right at him. No excuses here. The ball is right there, and Sabo just plain misses it. Goes right through his legs, and the Cubs get a break early, and let's see if they can cash in.
The bases are loaded for Leo Gomez. Gomez batting at .258 with the 12 homers and 31 runs batted in. He has struggled somewhat at about .240 against right-handed pitching, and so this should be a good matchup against the left-hander. And the first pitch high and away. 1 ball, no strikes. The Cubs enter tonight's game 3 games under 500 at 37-40. And at one point in this season, they were 10 games under the 500 mark at 21-31. 2 balls and no strikes on Leo Gomez. And there's a look at the central race. 3 games separate top to bottom.
And Cincinnati, despite having 2 less losses than the Cubs, find themselves a half a game behind the Cubs coming in.
And the pitch, and that's on the outside corner for a called strike.
That's what Leo's done during his career with the bases loaded. A pretty impressive average.
Billy Williams, the hitting instructor for the Chicago Cubs, and here's the 2-1 pitch. He looks at it a little bit low. 3 balls and 1 strike now.
Now you would think that Leo would see a fastball here. He's probably going to see it away, and that's a good ball to drive into right center. You've got good speed with Davis and Sanders on the right side in the outfield for the Reds.
3 balls and 1 strike. Bases loaded and only 1 out. And here's the pitch. And he popped it up foul out of play behind home plate. So the count now 3 balls and 2 strikes. John Smiley trying to work out of a jam here in the first.
He's made 4 wild pitches this year. That could come into play. He's also given up 8 home runs.
Sosa on at first, Grace at second, Glanville at third for the Cubs, and only 1 out. The payoff to Gomez, and a base hit into left field. Glanville scores. Here comes Grace around. Sosa holds at second, and the Cubs lead by the score of 2-0.
RBIs 32 and 33 for Leo. He got the fastball that he wanted, and Smiley gets it in a hittable spot. It's inside, but Leo opens up, drives it through the left side. And so the air certainly opened the floodgates, and the Cubs have come storming through.
Ryne Sandberg steps in with runners on first and second. Still only 1 out. We're in the top of the first inning. Sosa at second base and Leo Gomez on at first. John Smiley doesn't like the first offering from Taubensee and agrees with the second side. Here's the pitch. High and tight. 1 ball, no strikes. Smiley is coming off his 3rd straight win. He went 8 innings, allowing no runs on 4 hits in a 2-1 Reds victory at New York. And that's the game Steve spoke of, that John Smiley began a string of strong performances this week by Reds pitchers. There's a strike called, and it's 1-1. The infield back looking to get 2 to get out of the inning. The Rhinos grounded into 3 double plays. The outfield deep and straight away. And the pitch is popped up on the infield. Hal Morris, the first baseman, makes the catch, and they're 2 men down. 2 out, 2 on, and it brings up the catcher, Scott Service.
Willie Williams has been working with Scott Service. He said that he's become too right field conscious, that not only on pitches away, but pitches inside. Scott's been trying to inside out the ball, and his first idea is to go to right field with it. He told him that he hit 9 home runs early by trying to turn on the ball inside, and he would like him to get a little more aggressive and start to do that. So let's see if he tries to pull Smiley.
Scott Service has been stuck on 9 home runs for quite some time, and he looks at ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes. There are your runners on first and second. Gomez on first and Sosa at second. Scott Service at the plate with a count of 1 ball, no strikes. And here's the pitch. Swung on and popped it up on the right side of the infield. Hal Morris right there. And the inning is over. So a couple of pop outs to the first baseman gets Smiley out of the inning, but the Cubs collect 2 runs on 3 hits. There was an error and 2 men left. End of a half inning. 2-0 Chicago.
It's been 25 years of love from Southwest to you. Just listen to the sound of those 737s above. You're hearing 25 years of love, and it's been 25 years of love, the kind of love that's true. 25 years of love from Southwest to you.
Making it to the pros takes a certain level of excellence, the experience to get the job done right, and a reputation for quality. Like top quality CarQuest shocks and struts, professional technicians choose CarQuest gas charge shocks and struts because they can be confident they're installing the best ride around. So for the best possible performance, install what the pros install. CarQuest. Welcome to the pros.
Finding oneself alone in this world can be terrifying.
Poor thing, you must have fallen out.
I knew I must return him to his family to ensure he's consumed at optimum freshness.
I don't see him, do you? Excuse me, he's lost. Lost beer coming through. You see him? We'll find him any minute. I can feel it. Excuse me. Don't give up.
Hey, who's missing a bottle? We got a lost bottle here.
Budweiser. Brewery fresh taste. Strictly enforced.
Don't worry, little fella. We'll find him.
Back at Riverfront Stadium on a warm Friday night, and the Cincinnati Reds batting order for manager Ray Knight: Howard, Boone, Larkin, Sanders, Davis, Morris, Sabo, Taubensee, and Smiley. The Mountain Dew defense for the Chicago Cubs looks like this. The youngster Glanville in left, McRae and Sosa as usual in center and right, Gomez, Hernandez, Sandberg, and Grace across the infield, and the battery of Frank Castillo and Scott Service.
Castillo lifetime 2-3 with a 3.83 ERA in 9 games against the Reds. He's had 1 start against them this year. Threw the ball very well, just 2 earned runs in 7 innings, but he got a no decision in that one.
Thomas Howard leading it off at 241 with a homer and 15 runs batted in. And he misses with ball 1. Frank going to more of an off-speed pitch there. Cubs are 15-9 in the month of June, which is a big improvement over what they were able to accomplish in the month of April and May. In fact, they have already surpassed their win totals in each of those months. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the pitch lined sharply to left field for a base hit. So Howard aboard. The leadoff man is on.
You remember a long time ago when we saw the Reds, Eddie Taubensee was the cleanup hitter, and he was hitting everything in sight. Well, that's changed, and now Reggie Sanders has moved into the 4th spot. And Brett Boone, who had elbow surgery, just now starting to feel 100%, and he has started to hit the ball very well.
Boone at 231 with 7 homers and 29 runs batted in. And the first pitch is in there for strike 1 called. Boone started the season with numerous injuries. Tried to come back too soon from an ankle injury that is still bothering him, he told me earlier tonight. There's the lead off of first by Thomas Howard. Runner going, pitch down low and away. The ball pops out of the glove of Scott Service, and Thomas Howard is in there with a stolen base.
That's his 4th of the year. We told you when the game started that the Reds were going to try to run Scott Service and Frank Castillo out of the ballpark tonight, and they've started early. Howard is not near their best on the base paths, but he takes off and no play.
Scott Service has caught 19 of 68 runners trying to steal now this season. 1 ball, 1 strike, the count on the hitter, Brett Boone. Pitch is inside, and it's 2-1. Boone hit a ton against the Cubs last year. It seemed like, Steve, every time he came to the plate, the game was on the line, and he'd hit a home run.
And more times than not, he would hit it to right or right center. And he's going to probably be trying to hit that ball to the right side in this situation.
2 balls and 1 strike. And Frank fakes to second base. The Reds are minus Ron Gant, and that's a big stick taken out of this lineup due to the offseason reworking of the financial structure of this lineup. 2 balls and 1 strike. And the pitch is in there for strike called. And so, Steve, when this ball club got off to a bad start this season and it lingered into May, people were wondering if Ray Knight had the horses to contend even in the Central Division. And I asked Hal McRae about that today, and he said, I think we do have the horses to contend in our division. Now, if we're in the East, or even maybe if we're in the West, maybe not. But in the Central, we can play with these guys. There's another base hit left field. Glanville on the run. They're going to send Thomas Howard, and the throw comes into second base. It's a 2-1 ball game.
RBI number 30 for Boone, who has been red hot of late. He drives this ball into left field. Frank Castillo off to an ominous start. This is a pretty good pitch. It's a fastball low and in, and Boone just turns on it. Cuts the lead in half.
So 2 up, 2 hits and a run for the Reds here in the bottom of the 1st inning. And Barry Larkin steps up at .295 with 9 homers and 30 runs batted in. Larkin fakes a bunt, pulls it back, takes ball 1. Larkin has been battling injuries as well. He's got a back problem that he's been getting some chiropractic help for, and would like to do it on the road, and apparently now will be able to.
Well, he actually has a neck problem, Wayne, and it's a bulging disc in his neck, and he says it doesn't hurt him at all when he's swinging the bat, but it hurts him when he has to move when he has to make quick moves in the field, and that's been the big problem.
The 1-0 pitch, and there's a fastball on the outside corner. It's 1-1.
But Barry Larkin knows just how valuable he is to this team, and he knows that he can ill afford to sit out too many games. On the last road trip, however, he was leaving games in the 5th and 6th inning because of all the pain in his neck. He sees that chiropractor every day at home, and it's made a big difference.
1 ball and 1 strike. And here's the pitch. Checked his swing, takes it on the outside corner for a called strike 2. Well, again, this arrangement that the Reds are making on the road is set up in advance. Some help for Larkin if he needs it is something that is new since John Allen took over running the Reds when Marge Schott was, I guess, put down, so to speak, or taken out of the day-to-day operation of the ball club by Major League Baseball. And a lot of things are beginning to change around here at Riverfront Stadium. The 1-2 pitch to Larkin, that's outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Number one, they're starting to draw more fans. They're putting together promotions. They're doing a lot of little things that they're trying to embrace this community again. Cincinnati, Steve, and everyone was hurt by the strike, but I think Cincinnati, baseball fans here, took it maybe more personal than most cities. And they really stayed away in droves. And then some of the things that were happening with the front office weren't very agreeable to the fans either. And I think it was one thing snowballing after another. One thing Allen has tried to do is offer promotions like $3 ticket night. He's got a concert tonight. Willie Nelson, I believe, will be playing here after the game tonight. They've introduced several things like fans running the bases after Sunday games, that type of thing, to try to embrace this community once again. The count is full at 3-2, and the pitch hit by Larkin to the gap in left center field, and this one going to the wall. This ball game is going to be tied. Brett Boone steams around third. He scores easily. On at second base with a game-tying double is Barry Larkin.
That's the hit and run used to perfection as Boone is going, and this fastball's right down the middle. You see Boone picking up the ball, easily able to score. That brings Fergie Jenkins out from the dugout as Frank Castillo has been rocked early in this one. And just like that, the 2-run lead is by the board and nobody out here in the bottom of the first inning. So we told you both of these teams were red hot, and they've started out just that way. There's neither team very high on the hitting list in the National League, and yet the bats have come alive.
Well, the Reds ranked 10th in the National League in batting. The Cubs even lower than that. The Reds with a .252 average. Frank Castillo now will face Reggie Sanders, a .301 hitter with 5 homers, 13 runs batted in. Cubs came in with a .241 team batting average this season so far. Breaking pitch hit high and deep to left field. Glanville to the wall. This one is gone to the second level of seats in left field. And the Reds, on a 2-run homer by Reggie Sanders, have taken a 4-2 lead. Frank Castillo coming off perhaps one of his strongest performances of the season in Cincinnati, or I should say in San Diego less than a week ago, getting rocked here in Cincinnati in this first inning. 4 runs on 4 hits. The first 4 hitters to the plate in the bottom of the first.
Sanders hitting his 6th home run of the year. It's one of those rolling curveballs, and Frank has had some problems with the breaking pitch early in the game. Sanders just follows it and whacks it. 15 runs now driven in. 4 hitters, 4 runs. The Reds have the lead.
Eric Davis steps up, and he has been the heart and soul of this ball club. Davis, what a turnaround he has had in his career. At .289, 14 homers to lead the club. 47 runs knocked in. There's a high fly into right center field. Brian McRae calls off Sammy Sosa, and Mac makes the catch. 1 away.
Eric Davis, a bona fide candidate for comeback player of the year. He had neck surgery as you look at Rodney Myers loosening up. Davis was invited by a couple of his friends, Barry Larkin, Lenny Harris, to visit the team in Los Angeles when they went for the playoffs last year. He later had a talk with Marge Schott, who talked with Jim Bowden. They invited Davis with no promises to spring training, and here he is putting together a great year.
Hal Morris fouls the first pitch off for strike 1. Morris at .278 now with 6 homers and 26 runs batted in. And the adjustment they've tried to make with Hal Morris is to keep him back of the ball a little bit more, to drive the ball. He sometimes has a tendency to run up there and get too far ahead in the batter's box, and thus doesn't have the real good trigger at that point. But McRae has worked with him, and he's come a long way. He was struggling when we saw him earlier this season, Steve. Big time. 2 balls and 1 strike now. The count on Hal Morris.
Well, Hal has got to hit well over 300 to really be an asset on the ball club, because he doesn't drive in a lot of runs. He doesn't have a whole lot of power, and he doesn't have a whole lot of speed.
Pitch is hit hard, but gloved by Sandberg. His throw to Grace easily gets Hal Morris, and they're 2 men down. So 2 away for Chris Sabo. And before Sabo gets to the plate, pause for station identification.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN-TV, Chicago.
Wayne Larrivee, Steve Stone. Our producer-director is Arnie Harris at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati for the start of a weekend series between the Cubs and the Reds. Chris Sabo looks at strike 1 called. He, too, like Eric Davis, has enjoyed a renaissance season so far in his career here in Cincinnati. Sabo at .290, 3 homers and 16 runs batted in. The pitch misses.
You have to applaud Jim Bowden for bringing in Eric Davis and Chris Sabo. He really had nothing to lose, and both of these guys reclamation projects, if you will, have resurrected their careers, and both of them having fine years.
Swing and a miss there, and Sabo down to the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Willie Green has a hamstring problem. He was a man that was playing third base on a consistent basis. Sabo's hit the ball very well, so he's starting against a right-hander for one of the few times this year.
The 2-1 delivery. Check swing grounder. Mark Grace handles it without incident, steps on the bag, and the inning is over. Wish it was as quick as the last 3 hitters of the inning. The first 4 all got base hits. The first 4 hitters all scored, and at the end of 1, it's a 4-2 Cincinnati lead.
I can't believe I'm losing my hair back here.
Like father, like son.
Yeah, right.
Look, if you want to regrow some hair, check this out.
Rogaine? Don't you need a prescription?
Not anymore.
How's it work? Rogaine goes to the root of your hair, and for some people, gets it to grow.
What have you got to lose?
Nothing, I guess. Except more hair.
That's been easy to use.
And it's starting to work.
See, there's room for growth in every relationship.
Rogaine, medically proven to regrow hair.
Hi, I'm Cubs pitcher Turk Wendell. Join me, Steve Traxel, Terry Adams, Cubs manager Jim Riggleman, and many more for the 5th annual All-Star Kids Clinic, sponsored by Dial Soap, Tuesday, July 9th at Wrigley Field. Here's your chance to go on the field, run the bases, and learn baseball from the pros. Plus, everyone attending receives a Cubs sports bag filled with prizes. Tickets are just $10. For more information, call 312-404-CUBS.
Back at Riverfront in Cincinnati, the Reds leading 4-2. And the Cubs bring up Jose Hernandez, Frank Castillo, then the top of the order. Both pitchers got rocked a bit in that first inning. Cubs scoring 2 runs on 3 hits. The Reds committed an error in the inning in the top of the first, and the Reds getting 4 back in the bottom. Smiley starts him with an off-speed pitch in there for strike 1 called. Jose at 235, starting to hit with a little bit of power now, beginning to drive the ball some. 3 homers and 15 runs batted in. He also has 5 doubles and a triple. And he fouls it back in just over our heads behind home plate, out of play.
Jeff Brantley, who's the stopper on this team, who saved 28 games last year and is off to a great start this year with 19 saves, probably is not going to be in action tonight. He took a line drive off his knee, and Lee Smith for the next couple of days is going to be the man that Ray Knight goes to.
Called strike, and it's no ball. Called strike 3, and Hernandez is down.
And there's Jeff Brantley. For a while they thought that he had broken the kneecap. That's how vicious the line drive was off the bat of Benito Santiago. But he just has a nasty bruise, and Lee Smith, the venerable Lee Smith, the man who picked up his first Cincinnati save the other night, will be the man called on if indeed the Reds do need a closer late.
And according to what we heard today from the Cincinnati people, Lee Smith has been pretty impressive since arriving here from California. A lot of people were wondering, what do they need Lee Smith for? They've got Jeff Brantley, but you just never know in this game, and I guess you can't have enough pitching. 2 balls and no strikes. Now at least they have a veteran closer to go to, even if it's just for a night or two, with Brantley hurting a bit. There's a strike called, and it's 2-1 on Frank Castillo. 1 out, nobody on. And the 2-1 delivery, and Frank lifts a soft liner into center field, a base hit. So 1 out single by Castillo. That's how the first inning began. McRae struck out, and then Glanville, Grace, Sosa, and Gomez all reached.
Well, Smiley has been very hittable, and he usually is very hittable for the Cubs. Here's one of the real premier left-hand pitchers in the National League for many years, and yet He's got an ERA of just under 5 lifetime against the Cubs, so they've been able to solve him. This is their first look at him, however, this year.
Top of the order, Brian McRae. I mentioned he struck out his first trip up. No balls and 1 strike the count here. Smiley at 7-6 with a 4.29 earned run average so far. Ground ball to Boone. Turns it to Larkin for 1. On to first for 2. And the inning is over. 4, 6, 3. And that is that. No runs, a base hit, no errors, and nobody left on. Middle of 2 at Riverfront. 4-2 Reds.
Sister, sister.
We look like twins.
Tamara's identity crisis.
We're individual.
You individuals going to the movie?
Yes, we are.
Doesn't sit too well with Tia.
Why are you sitting over there? I'm giving your face some space.
Sister, sister. Then Kurt's created a new superhero.
Nothing scares Magno Man.
But Russell comes up with a creation of his own.
I see kind of.
Not my drawing. Kurt after Sister, sister.
Sunday night at 7 on WGN.
Imagine your feet are under attack by many flesh-eating predators. That's athlete's foot. To cure them all, you have to kill them all. Lotramin AF. Full prescription strength medicine. The brand doctors recommend most. Lotramin AF. The killer cure.
Up here, I feel like traffic is miles away.
With Yukon's commanding view and accommodating size.
Unlike some others, I have virtually unlimited capacity.
Yukon can make you feel invincible. Yukon by GMC. It puts you comfortably in command.
All right. This is it.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down.
That was only the first out of the game.
Make it a Bud Light.
That's a real beaver.
Wayne Larrabee, Steve Stone back at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. Cubs are trailing 4-2. Group on hand, the Wild Bunch is here. The Chicago Cubs fan club, or one of them. About 50 or more are on hand at tonight's game here in Cincinnati. And Cubs always bring a lot of fans with them down here to Cincinnati. It's not that long a drive from Chicago. In the bottom of the second, Eddie Taubensee, John Smiley, then the top of the order, Thomas Howard, to face Frank Castillo. Taubensee takes the pitch high and wide, 1 ball, no strikes. Taubensee at 284 with the 4 homers and 25 runs batted in. Hit hard on the ground to Sandberg. 1 out.
Hey, Cub fans, the first 10,000 fans in attendance at Wrigley Field on Monday, July 15th will receive a limited edition Wrigley Field card set, compliments of Novus Services. You can also win a chance to watch the Cubs from a Wrigley Field skybox. It's all part of Novus Week at Wrigley Field, July 11th through the 17th.
John Smiley at 226, one of the better hitting pitchers in baseball. 7 for 31 at the plate this season. And he looks at ball 1 inside. Smiley with a double and 2 runs batted in. 1 out, nobody on. Bottom of the second. There's a solid swing and a line drive at Glanville in left field. He makes the catch, and they're 2 men out.
Well, both pitchers rocked in the first inning would like to get through the second with a minimum of pitches. Smiley accomplished it. Frank Castillo trying to do the same thing.
Top of the order, Thomas Howard singled to left in the first and scored. Also stole a base. Leo Gomez in a bit at third, and the first pitch, a fastball inside. 1 ball, no strikes. There's Ray Knight on the Cincinnati bench. First year as manager. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Probably the only man in the last few years to have a designation of assistant manager last year under Davey Johnson. And that's what he's done in his first season. He's had a very banged-up ball club. Now they're getting healthy.
Wave and a miss at a changeup, or so it appeared, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. He was way out front of that one. So Howard down to the count, 1-2. 2 out, nobody on in the bottom of the second, and Castillo taking a little bit too much time, and Howard asked for time at the plate. Just a gorgeous night for baseball. The 1-2 delivery. Checked his swing and takes it high. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Castillo's 2-2 delivery. Popped it up foul, third base side. Gomez giving chase along with Hernandez, and it's a couple of rows deep.
And unlike the West Coast ballpark, where you do have a lot of room in most of the parks for foul balls, you don't have all that much room here in Cincinnati. So a hitter is going to be given another life if he slices it down the line more times than not.
You know what amazed me when I first went into Dodger Stadium was how much foul territory there is there in that ballpark. There's a lot of foul territory.
As there is in Candlestick Park. Or 3Com Park, whatever it is these days.
The 2-2 pitch popped it up into shallow left field. Glanville is there, and that's a 1-2-3 inning for Castillo in the second. Nothing across. We're heading to the third. Cincinnati leading 4-2.
Houston, how many miles are we flying?
900,000. Copy?
Roger that. Can we credit that toward our frequent flyer program?
Stand by, Red Hawk. We'll get back to you.
With Southwest Airlines frequent flyer program Rapid Rewards, you don't have to fly to the moon and back to earn a free ticket. Just 8 quick round trips and your next one's free.
A couple more of these flights and I can go someplace really cool.
Rapid Rewards from Southwest, the fastest way to fly free.
Twins with a mission that has all America seeing double. A Disney original, The Parent Trap.
Saturday at noon.
There's something going on at Burger King this summer. Something spectacular. Something extraordinary. Something exciting. Something magical. Because this summer, we're welcoming some very special friends from Disney's newest movie, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Heroic Quasimodo, beautiful Esmeralda, brave Phoebus.
What a woman.
Lovable Hugo. All your favorites from this classic adventure. Your kids can collect all 8 characters. A new one each week. One with every great-tasting $1.99 Kids Club hamburger meal. Come for the toys. Come for the food. Come for the fun. There's a party going on, and you'll want to get in on the excitement.
All right, all right.
Experience the action and thrills of Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame in theaters. And join the celebration. It's big, it's huge, and it's only at Burger King.
Now, there's more Fast Gun Fife. Weeknights at 6, beginning Monday on WGN.
Top of the third inning here at Riverfront Stadium, and Doug Glanville leads it off for the Cubs. He singled and scored in the first, and he bloops this one foul on the first base side out of play.
If you haven't heard, the Cubs have a new catcher, and that's Tyler Houston, former #1 draft choice, the second player chosen overall by the Atlanta Braves in 1989. Houston, a left-hand hitting catcher, joins the club, and Mike Hubbard was sent back down to the minor leagues, as was Brant Brown when Mark Grace was activated.
And the pitch is slammed foul again on the right side out of play. No balls and 2 strikes. Well, Tyler Houston had a pretty big game against the Cubs down in Atlanta in that blowout victory by the Braves earlier this season. No balls, 2 strikes, and the pitch. That's in the dirt, and it's 1-2. Here's the pitch. That's hit hard, deep to left field. Back goes Thomas Howard to the wall, and he makes the catch. Whoa, he had to go a long way for that one.
Well, Thomas Howard was playing fairly shallow for Glanville, and Doug gave it a ride. Howard all the way back to the warning track. He's got about 5 feet to spare, and he hauls it in at the 375 mark.
We're talking about Tyler Houston on that May 20th game that was won big by the Reds. Tyler Houston had a home run and a 2-run single. He had a 3-run homer and a 2-run single in that ball game in relief of Fred McGriff at first base at the time. Steve, Tyler Houston, a left-handed hitter, gives Jim Riggleman a little bit more flexibility. Pitch in the dirt to Mark Grace for ball 1.
You don't find too many left-hand hitting catchers, and when you find one, if he can indeed play, and the Braves waited a long time for Tyler Houston before finally trading him, Cubs might have found somebody who can help them.
There's a strike called, and it's 1-1. And you don't find many first basemen like Mark Grace. It's a lot of games at one spot
for one team.
Mark appeared to be fooled on that pitch, and he pulls the trigger but misses, so it's 1-2. The veteran John Smiley, and the pitch, a breaking ball. It hung up there a little bit, but Gracie only could pop it out to shallow right field, where Brett Boone tracks it down, 2 men out. Aflac question: which pitcher has the most wins as a Cub at Riverfront Stadium? I'm going to guess. I'm not going to go with the obvious, Ferguson Jenkins. I'm going to guess Rick Russell.
Oh, and I'll guess Rick Sutcliffe.
All right, we'll get the answer to those guesses in the bottom of the inning. Yes, Sammy Sosa has fans here, and Sammy's at the plate, takes the pitch up high. Reached on an error by the third baseman, Chris Sabo, in the first inning. The 1-0 delivery from Smiley, and again Sosa has to bend back away. 2 balls and no strikes.
They've named the honorary captains for the All-Star game July 9th in Philadelphia, and it's Earl Weaver and Johnny Padres. So my former manager, Earl Weaver, getting the honors along with a pretty good pitcher, Johnny Padres.
Lines it fouled on the right field line, out of play. Johnny Padres is still on the Philadelphia staff, but has not been with the ball club. I guess, what, an illness or some type of situation that came up earlier this season.
They gave him a leave of absence.
Yeah. But he's been around for quite some time. The 2-1 delivery, a swing and a foul back against the screen by Sosa. And the count evens out at 2-2. Padres pitched for the Brooklyn and Los Angeles Dodgers back in the 50s and early 60s.
And the Phillies loved him as a pitching coach. He really knows how to teach the straight changeup very well, had a lot of patience with the young pitchers, and they hope to get him back eventually.
2-2 pitch. Sammy lays off the pitch outside. It's 3 balls and 2 strikes. Steve Traxel has been pitching well all season long. He did a marvelous job outdueling Hideo Nomo at Dodger Stadium the other night. There's a base hit for Sammy Sosa. So Sammy 1 for 2. He's been on base twice, reaching on that error in the first inning. 2-out single by Sosa gets Leo Gomez to the plate. Leo, a 2-run single in the first inning, has accounted for the scoring for the Cubs here tonight.
Eddie Tomansey has had his problems throwing, so he's fairly easy to run against, but Smiley's got a pretty good move, so it gives you a tough situation. You've got a left-hander with a good move, but you know that if you can guess on Smiley, you can probably steal on Tomansey. And Sammy has stolen 13, been caught twice.
Gomez fouls it back, and it's no balls and 1 strike.
Cubs have been a good running team this year. They haven't run quite as often as the Reds, but they've stolen 63 bases. They've been caught only 20 times.
Not as big a crowd as I expected here tonight for a game that is going to be capped by a Willie Nelson concert. There's a decent move to first base there by Smiley, and Sammy staying close. But since John Allen has taken over the Cincinnati Reds, they have been more fan friendly. Sosa going. The pitch fouled back against the screen. No balls and 2 strikes. It's also been a lot of talk that Marge is not happy with some of these promotions. Allen is serving a 60-day term. By August 12th, Marge must nominate someone to run the Reds for the remainder of her forced absence. The team averaged 22,000 fans per game in the first 28 home dates since Schott's ouster, so to speak, and that pitch fouled back, coming right to us. I was ready for it, Stoney, but it fell short of me. I'll protect you, don't worry.
I got big problems if that's the case. But that was coming up here softly enough where we don't have to worry about it. See, all you got to do is let it drop into your hands. No problem.
Yeah,
there.
okay. That's a technique right there.
Oh, yeah. Just let it drop in your hands.
Do I lose the pencil or
no, that's the art. You keep the pencil.
The 0-2 pitch taken, and here's the throw down to second base, and not in time. Sosa in there with a stolen base. The pitch taken for ball 1.
And one of the reasons why Taubensee is catching tonight instead of Joe Oliver is that you have the left-hander on the mound you thought could combat the base runners. But if the Cubs get a chance, they're going to run on Taubensee all night long. This is a terrible throw, and Sammy steals his 14th base, and he steals it easily.
Cub base runners now are 64 for 84 in their steal attempts this season. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out, and the pitch. Just missed a little bit inside and low, and it's 2-2. Cubs are trailing 4-2 here in the top of the 3rd inning. Good to have you with us on a Friday night from Riverfront Stadium. Two and 2 with 2 out, and the pitch up high. The count fills to 3-2.
The Reds dominated the season series last year, winning 7-10 from the Cubs. This year, the Cubs, in the only series they've played, took 2 out of 3 from the Reds. And the Cubs off to a great start on this longest road trip of the year. They're 4-2 so far, with a stop at Pittsburgh to go after this one.
The payoff pitch in the dirt. It's away from Taubensee, but not far enough for Sosa to advance. So the Cubs now have 2 on with 2 out. Smiley had walked 31 in 94 1/3 innings coming into tonight's game, and that's his first free pass of the night. So runners at first and second. Gomez at first, Sosa at second for Ryne Sandberg, who popped out to the first baseman in the first. Sandberg now 4 for 12 in his last 4+ games. And the pitch up high. 1 ball, no strikes. There are the runners at first and second. 2 men down. And the pitch by Smiley. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Smiley came up with the Pirates originally in 1986. Then had a wonderful year for them in 1991, going 20-8. And then in a move that began to characterize Pittsburgh, an economy move, they allowed him to go to Minnesota. It was later here on to Cincinnati, where he was 12-5 last year.
1 ball and 1 strike. And that pitch slammed down the right field line. If it's fair, it's trouble, but it's foul. So it's 1-2 on Ryne Sandberg. Leo Gomez heading back to first, and Sammy Sosa checks in again at second.
When Smiley was traded to Minnesota, it turned out to be a pretty good trade for the Pirates. They got Denny Nagel, who is now the ace of their staff, along with Midre Cummings. Cummings hasn't done what the Pirates would have liked, but he's still young enough to maybe do that along the line. But Nagel has been everything the Pirates thought he would be and more.
1-2 the count with 2 men down. Runners lead away from first and second. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and the inning is over. No runs, a base hit, no errors. The Cubs lead 2. In the middle of the 3rd, the Reds still have a 2-run lead.
When you're sick or injured and can't work, you still want to be able to handle things Major Medical doesn't, for whatever comes up. Life's got to go on. Aflac can help. Use Aflac benefits to fill the gaps other insurance doesn't cover. You decide exactly how to use it best. Then concentrate on what's really important. Just get better.
Hi, I'm Ryan Samber for Chrysler Plymouth with another astounding Cubs coincidence. July 24th, the Cubs get a steal. Hours later, a Chrysler Sebring convertible was purchased in Chicagoland, and the purchaser also got a steal. Chance? Not a chance.
This amazing alignment of baseball stars and terrific cars was brought to you by the Stars of Cubbyland, your Chrysler and Plymouth dealer.
Welcome back to Olympic coverage. Now, the pommel horse is a great chance for the USA to move up in the medal race, and this young man is probably our best hope for gold. He's off to a good start. Oh, man, what form. He's really making this look easy. Into an L. To a handstand. Amazing! Here's the dismount, and he sticks it!
Bud Light, proud sponsor of the 96 U.S. Olympic team.
Now let's check in at the pole vault finals, where we're going to see some people do... Brain wants to be famous.
Marry Prince Charles.
Pinky and the Brain.
Sunday night at 6 on WGN.
Back at Riverfront Stadium, bottom of the third inning, and Cincinnati has Brett Boone, Barry Larkin, and Reggie Sanders scheduled to face Frank Castillo. Brett Boone singled in the first run of the ball game for Cincinnati in the first inning. He later scored, and he looks at strike one. Breaking pitch on the outside corner. No balls and 2 strikes.
Brett Boone came over with Eric Hansen from Seattle in exchange for Bobby Ayala and Dan Wilson. Wilson has become one of the best catchers in the American League. But the Reds are mighty happy with Brett Boone, who's really blossomed here in Cincinnati.
Swing and a miss to the breaking pitch. And Brett Boone goes down on strikes. That's the first strikeout of the night for Frank Castillo.
Frank is tightening up the breaking ball. He's throwing it a little harder than he was early in the game, and like most of his performances, the curveball is coming to him later in this one.
Well, I'll tell you, in San Diego, Steve, we really didn't see the bite in that curveball till long about the 3rd or 4th inning anyway in that game, and then it just kept getting better.
He had a good one certainly in that game, late in the game, and if he knows that that's his tendency, then he has to try to work around that early. Gave up the 2-run homer to Sanders on a rolling breaking ball. And since that home run, Frank has retired 7 straight.
Larkin 1 for 1 with a double, driving in a run in the first inning, and there's a strike. 1 ball to 1 strike. Fergie Jenkins was telling me before the game tonight the thing about Castillo, especially early this season when he got off to the terrible start, he did not have a good curveball or a good feel for the curveball. Consequently, he'd go to his changeup, and his changeup wasn't that good, and he does not have a good enough fastball to get by with it without the other 2 pitches working. And so he was in a real tailspin for a while earlier this season. There's a strike called, and it's 1 ball to 2 strikes.
Well, Frank also throws a cut fastball that looks like a slider at times, and if that curveball isn't working, he can go to the slider cut fastball to combat the right-hand hitters.
2 balls, 2 strikes, and the pitch in the dirt. Count fills to 3-2. Reggie Sanders waits on deck. Reds will be coming to Wrigley Field next week. And here's the payoff pitch now. Hit on the ground by Larkin. Third baseman Leo Gomez. The throw to Grace. 2 away. 2 men down, nobody on for Reggie Sanders. The answer to the Aflac trivia question: which pitcher has the most wins as a Cub at Riverfront Stadium? Rick Russell with 6. How about that?
You were right.
My first one on the road trip. It was 0 for 6.
It wasn't easy to beat the Reds here at Riverfront Stadium. Fergie had 3 wins, but of course he had a few at Old Crosley Field where the Reds used to play.
Reggie Sanders looks at a pitch up high. His 2-run homer in the first propelled the Reds into the lead. Most opponents' victories at Riverfront, Glavin. Well, Necro's up there with 14. There's Russell and Jerry Royce, Don Sutton. All those guys are pretty good pitchers. Sanders hits a fly ball deep to right center field. Sosa to the warning track to the wall. It's gone. Reggie Sanders, his second home run of the ball game. And the Reds now lead by the score of 5-2.
Seventh home run of the year, and that's how important Reggie Sanders is to this team in the cleanup spot. He's been responsible for 3 of the 5 runs. He took one to left, he took one to right center, and the Reds have a 3-run lead. This fastball out away from Sanders. He goes out and gets it, and shows you just how much power he has by going the opposite way and leaving the yard.
Eric Davis takes ball 1. Davis fly to center field in the first. Frank Castillo surrendered 2 home runs in this ball game here tonight. Now has given up 17 on the season.
Eric Davis credits Reggie Smith, the hitting instructor of the Los Angeles Dodgers, for helping him understand a little bit more about his problems with his swing. And he developed most of those problems after he had the neck problem.
2-0 pitch is in there for a strike call.
Eric said that he was losing a lot of strength in the left side. He was trying to compensate, and he got in some terrible habits. And he said Reggie Smith convinced him it doesn't matter where you set your hands as long as you get them to the hitting position.
And they were in the hitting position there. If it's fair, it's gone, but it's foul. Whoa. That was hit a ton.
Well, Eric has hit 14 of them, and he is tremendously strong, and he just missed it as it hooked in front of the pole.
So Jim Riggleman, some anxious moments here. The bombs are flying at Riverfront Stadium. And here's the pitch to Davis. Just missed outside. And the count fills to 3-2.
Used to be able to throw that high fastball inside by Eric Davis. Now he says more times than not he's taking it, but it's still not a bad place to go on him.
3-2 pitch, check swing grounder right side. Sandberg up with it over to Grace, and this inning is history. But the Reds get a run on the solo home run by Reggie Sanders, and at the end of 3, Cincinnati now leads by 3, 5-2.
How does the almond get into Hershey's Kisses with almonds? Little Hershey's Kisses with almonds. Big chocolate taste.
Look, it's the world's first on-battery tester from Energizer. You just press the dots to make sure your battery will keep going and going. A battery like this deserves to be in the spotlight, preferably alone.
We make the official fuel of NASCAR in a slightly tamer version for your car.
Got no shirt, got no shoes, got no coat, so got me the blues.
Hey! That's because you got no Pepsi.
Now the more Pepsi you drink, the more stuff you get from the new Pepsi catalog.
Got no mansion, got no yard.
This might be the end of the blues as we know it.
Drink a lot of Pepsi, get a lot of stuff.
Visit your participating Sears store and register to win at the Pepsi display.
Kirk's new creation doesn't sit well with Russell.
I think I'm down
to my drawing. Kirk!
Sunday night at 7:30 on WGN.
Lower third of the order for the Cubs here in the top of the 4th inning. Scott Service, Jose Hernandez, and Frank Castillo to face John Smiley, who now has been staked to a 3-run lead at 5-2. Smiley has given up 2 runs on 5 hits. Both runs and 3 of the hits came in the top of the first inning. And the pitch is over for strike 1 to Service. No balls, 1 strike, and the pitch from Smiley, and that's in there for strike 2 called. So now Scott down to the count, no balls and 2 strikes.
Cubs had a chance for a big inning in the first inning when the error by Sabo allowed the Cubs to load the bases with only 1 out. And after the 2 RBI single by Gomez, Smiley got off the hook by retiring Sandberg and Service.
A little bit high there, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Terry Adams has done a great job this year and a good job in a save situation in Los Angeles. And he picked up a save.
Yeah, they allowed him to finish that game out in Los Angeles on Wednesday. Slammed it fouled at Service, out of play. Still 1-2. And Steve, I think that might be significant. I think Jim Riggleman, as he continues to slowly bring along Terry Adams, that was maybe a step in his development.
I think there's no doubt that ideally there'd be a flip-flop situation with Turk and Terry. But they're going to have to bring along Terry slowly to make sure that he has his confidence, that he can get out major league hitters consistently. They've done a nice job of it this year. Turk's done a good job. He's right at 70% in save situations. You can't ask for much more as a first-time closer. But of the two, you'd say that Terry's stuff can be overpowering, and that's what you'd like in a closer. He was timed at 95 miles the other night, 95 miles an hour.
Scott Service is hanging in there at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Since getting to 1-2, he has fouled off 3 pitches from Smiley.
You would expect Smiley now to throw him that soft curveball away. He did jam him, however, the first time up in the first inning.
Well, let's see what they go with here at 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Pitch that broke hard and down on Scott Service. Strikeout number 4 for John Smiley.
Smiley goes to the breaking ball, and you see where Taubensee sets up. He wants it down, and he'd like it away. And that's exactly where he gets it. A dandy of a curveball, Service swinging through it, and then Taubensee threw it into left field, bringing somewhat of a reaction from the crowd.
Smiley facing Jose Hernandez, who has an 8-game hitting streak, 12-32 over the streak. Jose batting .375 during that period of time with 3 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, and 5 runs batted in. And Steve, we're starting to see just a glimmer of the power he provided last year off the bench.
Well, he's raised his batting average 40 points since getting an opportunity to play every day, and hitters will do that. Coming off the bench in spurts early in the season as a backup for Ray Sanchez and a pinch hitter, he was down in the 190s. He comes in at 235, and that's going to be up probably in the 250s if he continues to get this kind of play.
Got a piece of that one, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And although he doesn't have the best range of any shortstop in the league, it's good enough, especially on the natural surface. Occasionally, it'll show up here on the artificial surface, but that's not his home park, so you don't have to worry about it all that often. But overall, you'd have to say that Jose has done a fine job being thrust into that starting role with the surgery to Ray Sanchez.
1 ball and 2 strikes the count on Hernandez. Swing and a miss there as again Smiley changing speeds. Gets his 5th strikeout, his 3rd in a row.
Well, John is starting to settle into a pretty good rhythm, and he throws a high fastball by Hernandez. This one out of the zone, but too close to take with 2 strikes, and so it's shaping up as a potential very easy inning for Smiley.
Smiley worked him with some breaking pitches and some off-speed stuff, and then blew that fastball by him. Frank Castillo down to the count, no balls and 1 strike, and Smiley working quickly. Castillo lines it foul down the right field line, out of play. Frank a single in the 2nd inning. Was later erased on a 4-6-3 double play hit into by Brian McRae. The 0-2 delivery, and that's upstairs. 1 ball, 2 strikes. On the bench tonight, if you're looking for left-handed hitters, well, Bullitt, Houston, Magadan, and Gonzo are all there. Swung on and fouled back. by Frank Castillo again, and it's still 1-2. From the right side, you got Shumpert. Barry Larkin at shortstop, leader of the Reds, and Smiley missing down low. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
There's a look at the MVP, who is normally the Reds team MVP, and he's the man that holds this team together.
2-2 pitch. Castillo reaching for it, bloops it foul again.
Barry Larkin on occasion will take over the job that Ray Knight would normally have going to the mound. Barry Larkin acts as a manager in the infield. He'll go to the mound, talk to pitchers, get them thinking situations, exactly what they need. And regardless of what he does offensively, he is the glue on this team.
Called strike 3. Smiley strikes out the side. He has 6 on the game. Another 1-2-3 inning, or I should say the first 1-2-3 inning for Smiley here tonight. Going to the bottom of the 4th. The Reds still lead 5-2.
A local beauty contest, an explosive comedy. The critics are bursting with praise for Miss Firecracker. Us Magazine says it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. The players, Tim Robbins, is sensational. Premiere says Holly Hunter is superb. Roger Ebert calls it a comic treasure. Judith Christ says it's deliciously funny and exhilarating. Miss Firecracker, Saturday at 2 on WGN Channel 9.
Rust-Oleum, the ultimate defense against weather.
Hi, I'm Payne Stewart. Everybody knows that I love to play golf. But when I'm at home, I love to work in my yard too. And after all, who spends more time working on grass than I do?
The Grass Terminator replacement head uses a new concept, multi-edged line for smoother, cleaner cutting. And the Grass Terminator's unique recessed head protects the trimmer line from breaking.
The Grass Terminator. With a backyard like this, I need all the help I can get.
Available at finer home improvement centers and retailers worldwide.
The Bud World Party. During the '96 Summer Games. Consider yourself invited.
Mortals become immortal. Hold the moment with United States Olympic coins of the Atlanta Centennial Olympic Games in support of our young hopefuls. Available at participating banks and stores.
Beautiful Cincinnati in the early evening hours. And there's a look at Riverfront Stadium on the shores of the Ohio River. And we've got a warm, humid night, but not an altogether uncomfortable evening for baseball. Matter of fact, it's a good night to play baseball. You can get loose and stay loose. You don't have to wear jackets on the bases. It's a good night for baseball here at Riverfront, and the Reds certainly are enjoying things thus far. They have the lead 5-2 over Frank Castillo and the Cubs, and Hal Morris steps in 0 for 1, grounded out to Sandberg, his first trip to the plate. He looks at strike 1 call.
Morris, a study in perpetual movement at the plate. Something they'd like him to correct, but something that's been a part of his arsenal since he started playing. He steps back in the batter's box almost to the end, and then as the pitch is on the way, he walks up to greet it. And you've got to have tremendous hand-eye coordination to adopt that style of hitting.
Watch this. See how he jumps up toward the plate. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. Earlier this year, he was getting up on the plate too quickly. And Hal McRae's had him waiting back just a little bit longer than normal, and it's helped a great deal. Morris swings and fouls it off.
You can still get the fastball in on his hands, especially if you cut it. He invites the ball away by at least seeming to be well off the plate. Then he sneaks up on the plate. Let's see if Castillo tries to run the cut fastball in on his hands. That was the changeup called by Scott Service. Let's look in again. Frank's going to go inside with a cut fastball.
3 balls and 2 strikes now. The count on Hal Morris.
We'll look in again at Scott Service. That's the changeup. Let's see where Frank gets it.
On the ground to short. Jose Hernandez, one away. So Morris retired for the second time tonight, and it brings up Chris Sabo. Sabo grounded out to first in the first inning.
They're using Jeff Branson at third. They envisioned a platoon system of Branson and Sabo, but the emergence of Willie Green after long stints in the minor leagues have convinced Ray Knight that Willie Green should be given an opportunity when healthy.
Pitch in the dirt for ball one. And Willie Green suffered a strained left hamstring the other night. He's listed as day-to-day. And Steve, he's been on the come, so to speak, in the Reds organization for a number of years. They've been trying to get him to third base on this level, and it just hasn't quite happened. But now, as you mentioned, and there was a big article in the Cincinnati Enquirer today about that subject, that Willie Green may have arrived, and arrived to stay this time.
Willie Green, still a very young man, has been around. He was a Pirates first-round selection in 1989. Later went to Montreal, then came here to Cincinnati. And he's been up and down since '89. He's been just about everywhere. But he's always shown the ability to hit home runs in the minor leagues. He's had home run years of 22, 23, and 19 in the minor leagues, but always fell on his face in the major leagues. But at 24 years old, he's still very young and still a chance to show what he can do if given a chance to play every day.
The 2-1 delivery. Sabo fouls it back. The count even at 2-2.
Barry Larkin certainly can teach him a thing or two about baseball. And with Chris Sabo in the starting lineup, along with Hal Morris and Barry Larkin, they've got 3 products from the University of Michigan in the same infield.
Not a bad program they've had going up there. 2-2 pitch. And this one is swung on and hit deep to left center field. McRae on the run, and McRae is there on the warning track to bring it down. So a drive to deep center, and Brian McRae able to haul it in.
Chris Sabo bidding for a home run, comes up just a little short. McRae, feeling for the wall, realizes he still has about 5 feet, and he's able to make the play.
That brings Eddie Taubensee to the plate. Taubensee grounded out in the second. One ball, no strikes. Now take a look at two of a kind. Eddie Taubensee and Jody Davis. 1 ball, 1 strike. Similar numbers at similar stages in their careers.
Jody probably threw a little bit better than Eddie Taubensee, however, but the statistics favorable at this point in their careers.
1 ball and 2 strikes to count on Taubensee. Castillo, since the first 4 hitters in the game, has given up 1 run on 1 hit, that being a Reggie Sanders home run. Coming in the 3rd inning. This one sharply hit and deep to left field. Glanville looks up, and it is off the wall. Taubensee into second base, and he'll hold there with a stand-up 2-out double. There have been some rockets hit here tonight.
And that one almost left the ballpark. Glanville did a nice job of trapping the ball once it hit off the wall. He realizes that he can't get to it, and then just kind of smothers the ball, able to make sure that Taubensee does not go to third base. So you got a pretty good hitting pitcher up in Smiley, and you certainly can't take it for granted. Frank's going to have to change speeds and make some good pitches to retire him.
Smiley lined out to left field in the second. Pitch taken inside. 1 ball, no strikes. There's Taubensee with his 11th double of the season. Castillo's given up 6 hits here and 4 runs in this ball game, 2 home runs. Bad pitch, bad swing by Smiley. He helped out Frank on that one. 1-1.
Well, he's got a smile on his face saying, why is he throwing me a straight change? Very simple. He looks down and you're hitting 226, John. That's pretty good for a hitter.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Brett Boone's only hitting .231 and Thomas Howard's only hitting .241. There's a good swing there, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
There's the career numbers with a couple of home runs, 29 runs batted in. Not a bad job for a pitcher.
What did you hit as a pitcher? Do you remember what you hit?
I hit deceptively bad, Wayne. I hit 103, but I wasn't near that good.
Here's the 1-2.
My best years came in the American League because they had already put in the DH. So I could tell everybody that I really felt terrible about not getting a chance to show what I could do at the bat.
Did you find some opposing pitchers that take it easy on you a little bit? You know what I mean?
Not a one.
No one gave the opposing pitcher a break?
Not a chance, no.
Did they at least waste one on 0-2?
Yeah, Jerry Kuzman hit me in the leg.
That's what I call a waste.
He didn't understand that with runners at first and third, with a runner not breaking, that I was going to sacrifice. It was not a suicide. So I squared around a bunt. The man from third wasn't going, and he drilled me in the leg with a fastball. And it just stopped hurting a couple of weeks ago. That was 1975, I believe.
Did he get you one of those big thighs? Or
yeah, real big.
Here's the 2-2 pitch, and that's a called strike 3. The inning is over. No runs, a 2-out double by Taubensee. He stays at second. The Reds leave a man, and we are 4 complete with Cincinnati on top 5-2.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN is brought to you by the Stars of Chicagoland, your local Chrysler Plymouth dealers.
It's been 25 years of love from Southwest to you. Just listen to the sound of those 737s above. You're hearing 25 years of love, and it's been 25 years of love. The kind of love that's true. 25 years of love from Southwest to you.
Yachting is my life.
Need a second chance on your fantasy? Enter the Lotto Fantastic Fantasies drawing from the Illinois Lottery. Every time you play a $5 ticket, you get a fantasy entry form. Could be for a car, home improvement, a shopping spree, a fantastic amount of cash, or a boat. Just send in the coupons and sit back and fantasize. Of course, if you're satisfied with your present fantasy, hey, somebody's going to win their fantasy. Might as well be you.
Sir, I'm not feeling very well. I'm going home to rest. I should be fine in the morning, though.
If you're playing baseball hooky, you need a baseball hooky mobile from your Chrysler and Plymouth dealer. Like the award-winning Plymouth Voyager, with room for 7 people with Cubs fever for this great price, which will leave you with plenty of hot dog money. Official baseball hooky mobiles only from the Stars of Cubbyland, your Chrysler and Plymouth dealer.
Lane will discover the man she loves is not who he seems.
What are you doing?
Savannah.
Sunday at 8 on WGN.
On Saturday, July 6th, it's All-State Cubs Pennant Night. Every youngster 13 and under attending the Cubs-Reds game will receive a Cubs pennant. Compliments of All-State. For tickets to any game through the summer, stop by the Wrigley box office or call 312-831-CUBS. And our friends at Southwest Airlines and McDonald's are sponsoring the Ronald McDonald House Celebrity Golf Classic at Cog Hill on Wednesday, July 10th. There are foursomes available for this charity event. For information, call 312-751-2121. Have you checked our calendar? Are we going to be able to show up for that?
I don't think so.
Here's Brian McRae, 0 for 2. Struck out in the first, grounded out into a double play in the second. And McRae pulls the bat back, faking a bunt, takes ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes. Cog Hill, the site of the Western Open, coming up next week over the 4th of July weekend. Ground ball, left side under the glove of Sabo. And McRae is aboard. McRae makes a huge turn at first and heads back to the bag, and the leadoff man is on. Sabo having a tough time out there. That might go as a second error.
Well, I would think that Sabo should have had this play. They haven't made a determination yet, but it's a ball he could have easily grabbed, and then he would have probably thrown out McRae, but the ball hits off his glove. Remember, Sabo's had a bad back, and he doesn't get down quite as low as he should have. And still no determination.
I haven't seen anything yet. They may be looking at another replay. McRae aboard, and Doug Glanville with nobody out at the plate. He's bunting and bunts it foul on the third base side. Glanville singled and scored in the first, flied out deep to left in the third.
It's ruled a base hit, so Brian will pick up his first base hit of the night.
And the Cubs have their 6th hit of the evening. The Reds infield at second and short. Double play depth. Glanville will be tough to double up. 1 ball, 1 strike the count. The Reds have won 5 in a row. John Smiley has won 3 in a row himself. 1 ball and 1 strike the count, and here's the pitch. That's in there for strike 2 called.
McRae has stolen 25 bases, been caught only twice. Sammy stole second easily in the 3rd inning. And Brian getting a pretty decent lead as you see what he's done with infield hits. 2 off the leader.
Slam foul down the right field line, and the count remains 1-2. Brian McRae aboard at first. 25 stolen bases in 27 attempts this season. Doug Glanville at the plate. This youngster trying to develop a little bit on the major league level. There's the number on McRae. And the pitch is chopped foul on the right side, out of play. This day in Cubs history, well, in 1910, Joe Tinker became the first major leaguer to steal home twice in the same game. The Cubs beat the Reds 11-1 at Wrigley. How about that? The only way it could be more appropriate is if we were at Wrigley tonight. Glanville staying alive at 1-2. Doug Glanville, like a lot of young players, trying to come off the bench, Steve, and he is kind of between a rock and a hard place. He's not going to get many swings up there at the plate. Do you allow him to continue on the bench here on the major league level, or go back to AAA and play every day, continue to develop there? It's a tough call either way.
Depends on who you have to replace him and what the man you replace him with is going to add to your ball club.
The 1-2 delivery, and this pitch is lined into right center field, a base hit. Matter of fact, this one rolls to the wall. McRae will score easily. Glanville streaking toward third, stands up with a triple, and the Cubs are back on the board. 5-3 Cincinnati.
3rd run batted in for Glanville on his 2nd hit of the night. And the Cubs back in the game. Nobody out. Glanville at 3rd as we watch him drive this one up the gap. It's a fastball high and away. And Glanville, who had a very good at bat, spoiling pitch after pitch, puts the Cubs within 2. McRae scores easily. And things looking a little brighter here in Cincinnati.
Runner on 3rd and nobody out now, Steve.
And the infield back, Wayne, except at 3rd, they're going to concede the run to stay out of the big inning.
Grace bunting fouls it back.
That is a rare sight. Mark Grace trying to lay down a bunt. He does have a sacrifice fly, but no sacrifice bunts. And odds are Smiley's not going to strike him out, and all Mark needs is a ground ball to the right side where Morris and Boone are very deep. And the bullpen up and going.
Pitch taken inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. So
Hector Carrasco, who was sent down to the minor leagues for a wake-up call earlier this year, has come back throwing rockets.
Doug Glanville off his 2nd extra base hit of the season is at 3rd. And the pitch to Grace. Hit on the ground to the right side. Boone up with it, his only play to first. Glanville scores the 4th run of the night for the Cubs, and it's a 1-run ball game at 5-4.
With the infield back, Mark knew all he needed was a ground ball, and he's one of the better contact hitters around. So he hits that ground ball and hits it to the right side. Boone makes a good play coming up with it. But RBI number 31 for Grace, and it's a one-run game.
1 out, nobody on for Sammy Sosa. Sosa reached on an error on the third baseman Chris Sabo in the first, and he singled in the third. Swing and a miss by Sosa for strike one, and let's pause for station identification.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN-TV, Chicago.
Along with our producer-director, Arnie Harris, Wayne Larrabee, Steve Stone from Riverfront in Cincinnati. Sosa swings at a pitch down low, and it's no balls and 2 strikes. The Reds are leading 5-4. We're in the top of the 5th inning.
Turning into a whale of a ball game here with 2 very hot clubs trying to move up in the Central.
As we mentioned, the Reds have won 5 in a row. Pitch up high, 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Cubs on this road trip to San Diego, Los Angeles, and now Cincinnati have won 4 of their first 6.
You would think Smiley would try to go down in the dirt with another breaking ball or off-speed pitch. Let's see if Sosa can lay off if indeed Smiley goes down there.
On the ground to Sabo at third. This time he's up with it, and that retires Sosa. So 2 out, nobody on for Leo Gomez.
Chris Sabo almost let that one go between his legs also. He doesn't look too sure at third base. Well, isolate on Sabo, and you'll see him go down on this. And he starts to come up, but that one sticks in the glove just barely.
Leo hits a fly ball down the right field line. Thomas Howard giving chase, and in up against the wall, he makes the catch. And the inning is, make that Sanders down the right field line. In right field, Reggie Sanders falls down the drive by Leo Gomez, and the inning is over. But the Cubs get 2 runs on 2 hits. They leave the bases clean. It's a tight ball game going to the bottom of the 5th, 5-4 Reds.
There's something going on at Burger King this summer. Something spectacular. Something extraordinary. Something exciting. Something magical. Because this summer, we're welcoming some very special friends from Disney's newest movie, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Heroic Quasimodo. Beautiful Esmeralda. Brave Phoebus. What a woman. Lovable Hugo. All your favorites from this classic adventure. Your kids can collect all 8 characters. A new one each week. One with every great-tasting $1.99 Kids Club hamburger meal. Come for the toys. Come for the food. Come for the fun. There's a party going on, and you'll want to get in on the excitement. All right, all right. Experience the action and thrills of Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame in theaters. And join the celebration. It's big, it's huge, and it's only at Burger King.
The Bud World Party. During the '96 Summer Games. Consider yourself invited.
Mortals become immortal. Hold the moment with United States Olympic coins of the Atlanta Centennial Olympic Games in support of our young hopefuls. Available at participating banks and stores.
Twins with a mission that has all America seeing double. A Disney original, The Parent Trap.
Saturday at noon.
Welcome back to Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. Wayne Larrabee and Steve Stone. We've got a good ball game brewing here. These 2 pitchers tonight got off to rocky starts, but have pretty much settled down since the first inning, Steve.
And I think this is the biggest inning for Frank Castillo because he moves to the top. And if he can get out of this inning after his team scored a couple to get back in the game, the Cubs are going to be in pretty good shape, although that bullpen for the Reds has been hot of late.
Thomas Howard retired on a ground ball to second base. And, of course, if you're the Cubs, you're looking to win your 5th game of this road trip. You've won 4 of the first 6. Meanwhile, if you're the Cincinnati Reds, you're looking to extend a winning streak to 6 games. 1 out for Brett Boone. 1 ball, no strikes. Boone, a single he scored in the first, and he struck out in the third. And it's 2 balls and no strikes.
Now you have to watch the fastball to Boone because he's a good cripple hitter. This is the ball that he usually tries to hit out of the park, although he's not a prodigious home run hitter. He's got surprising power at times, and it usually comes when he's ahead of the pitcher.
There's a pitch in there, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Yeah, and Stephen, like we said earlier, it usually comes against the Cubs. Ray Knight on the bench. And the count, 3 balls and 1 strike now on Brett Boone.
Once again, you have to make a very tough pitch. Ray Knight had his son out earlier. Brooks, his son, just about as big as he is, and he's only in 11th grade.
Boone's still alive, and the count fills to 3-2 as he fouls that pitch off.
His son plays for a team called the Knights, and so on his uniform he has Knight on the front and Knight on the back of the jacket. And he is a very large young man, a tremendous football player.
The 3-2 delivery, and Boone popped it up. Right side of the infield. Ryan Sandberg is there, makes the catch. 2 men down. That brings up Barry Larkin. Larkin singled in the first, or I should say doubled in the first, driving in a run, double to center field. He scored later in the inning, and he grounded out in the third. And the first pitch in there from Frank Castillo for strike 1 call. Frank has given up a run on 2 hits since the first inning, where the first 4 Reds to face him reached base and scored. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cincinnati 5 runs on 6 hits and an error. The Cubs 4, 7-0. Fly ball center field. McRae has room. Larkin is retired, and so are the Reds in the 5th. Nothing across, and we're heading to the 6th with the Cubs trailing by 1, 5-4.
When Bill Weir brings you sports,
I don't know how they let me in here.
it's more than just score.
I think I wear that cup every day.
Highlights.
He's zipping up his pants.
And sports cliche.
Oh, I'm like a kid in the cereal aisle.
It's an adventure.
All right, boys, here I come. This is a live shot. How cool would that be? Why are you messing with me? Somebody's got to do it.
Bill Weir on WGN Morning News.
No animals were harmed in the making of this movie.
Weekdays from 7 to 9.
Good gig, huh?
Wake up with Bill Weir Sports.
Always wanted to do this.
Bill Weir on WGN Morning News.
Good gig, huh?
Weekdays from 7 to 9.
Up here, I feel like traffic is miles away.
With Yukon's commanding view and accommodating size,
unlike some others, I have virtually unlimited capacity.
Yukon can make you feel invincible. Yukon by GMC. It puts you comfortably in command.
Okay, boy. Now, just like I taught you, I want you to open the cooler, and I want you to get me an ice-cold Pepsi. Good boy, good boy. Maybe later we'll play Frisbee.
Hey, you got another one of those for me?
I love this dream.
Visit your participating Sears store and register to win at the Pepsi display.
We move to the top of the 6th inning with the Cubs trailing the Reds 5-4, and Ryan Sandberg, Scott Service, Jose Hernandez scheduled to face John Smiley. Yeah, you got a Reds fan in more ways than one right there. That red flowered dress or blouse. It's a warm evening here at Riverfront. Good night for a concert. What do you think? Should we go to a concert tonight?
I'm not the greatest Willie Nelson fan, but you're welcome to attend, and you can just sit here right up in our palatial suite in the booth and watch him.
Jim Bollinger loosening in the bullpen.
Besides, after this 2-week extravaganza, we'll feel like singing on the road again.
1 ball, 1 strike on Ryan Sandberg now. Sandberg 0 for 2, popped out to first in the first inning and struck out swinging in the third. The left-hander John Smiley. And it's chopped foul. Now, if Cincinnati goes to the bullpen, they don't have a left-hander down there. So the Cubs are pretty well stocked on their bench with left-handed bats to bring off the bench later in the ballgame to combat a Hector Carrasco or whatever. 1 ball and 2 strikes, the count on Ryan Sandberg. Bullitt, Tyler Houston, Dave Magadan, Louis Gonzalez all on the bench tonight. Ground ball right side. That's Brett Boone. And there's 1 away.
If you're just joining us, we told you that Jeff Brantley, the fine closer of this team, probably will not be available tonight. So that's one of the weapons out of the arsenal for Ray Knight. Brantley nursing a sore knee after catching a line drive off that knee. So Lee Smith will be the man called on late. They've got right-hander Jeff Shaw, who's put together a fine year for them, along with Hector Carrasco, recently recalled from the minor leagues.
Service takes the first pitch to him and hits it on the ground sharply to second. And again, it is Boone to Morris, retiring Service. 2 out.
Well, you want to hope that Smiley uses a first ball fastball to Hernandez. He's fanned him twice, one of them on a high fastball, and you got to hope that Smiley remembers that, tries to sneak ahead with a fastball, because that's a pitch that Hernandez wants to see, especially early in the count. So let's see what Eddie Taubensee and John Smiley have in mind for Jose.
One ball, no strikes as the pitch misses low.
I guess he's seeing the scouting reports also. Start him off with the big, slow-breaking curveball, but missed.
Very few secrets in this game, Stoney. The 1-0 delivery. There's a strike call. Doesn't take long. I mean, even Brant Brown, he was getting fastballs to hit in that first Dodger series at Wrigley Field. By the time we got out to Chavez Ravine about a week later, he's seeing curveballs and changeups and off-speed pitches. You know, he got very few nice, big, plump, juicy fastballs to hit.
Well, also the last 2 guys that he faced were Hideo Nomo with that great split finger, and the knuckleballer Tom Candiotti. So 2 unconventional pitchers to face.
Pitch down low, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Yeah, he didn't. I mean, you know, Nomo, when you see him for the first time, pretty tough. And Candiotti, you don't see a knuckleballer every day. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2 out, nobody on. Hernandez fouls it back, and it's out of play. I don't think the basket catch would have worked on that one. I think you had to have the hands up.
That one came back a little faster than we'd like, but fortunately up over our heads.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And the pitch down low. 3-2 the count.
Well, with Bullinger loosening up, you would think that with a 1-run deficit here in the 6th inning, if Jose can keep it alive, that would be it for Frank. So the fate of Castillo probably squarely in the hands of Jose Hernandez.
The payoff from Smiley on the ground to Barry Larkin. Look at this. Nicely done to retire the side. 3 up, 3 down, nothing across in the 6th for the Cubs. Bottom of the 6th coming up. Cubs are trailing by 1.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN is brought to you by Mountain Dew. Those who dare, do.
Anyone can become sick or injured, and Major Medical doesn't cover lots of important expenses that affect your family outside and inside your home. Things that can affect your kids. Aflac can help. Use Aflac benefits to fill the gaps other insurance doesn't cover. You decide exactly how to use it best. Then concentrate on what's really important. Just get better.
The Bud World Party. During the '96 Summer Games. Consider yourself invited.
Mortals become immortal. Hold the moment with United States Olympic coins of the Atlanta Centennial Olympic Games in support of our young hopefuls. Available at participating banks and stores.
Hi, I'm Ryan Sandberg for Chrysler Plymouth with another astounding Cubs coincidence. July 15th, a Chicago Cub outfielder makes an outstanding shoestring catch. Later that day in Chicagoland, a Cub fan buys an outstanding Plymouth Neon that fits nicely into his shoestring budget. Luck? In the player's case, yes. In the fan's case, hardly.
This amazing alignment of baseball stars and terrific cars was brought to you by the Stars of Cubbyland, your Chrysler and Plymouth dealer.
The gang from Mayberry. Now you can see them weeknights at 6 beginning Monday on WGN Channel 9.
Bottom of the 6th inning, and boy, what a shot of the moon. You could actually see the mountain ranges on that sphere overhead. How about that? That camera is as close as we can get to the moon tonight. Reds are leading 5-4 as we head to the bottom of the 6th, and Frank Castillo remains in for the Cubs on the mound. He will lead off, or his spot on the order is first up in the 7th, so Jim Bullinger, I'm sure, will be coming into this ball game unless they make a change to the bullpen.
Well, here's a dilemma for Frank Castillo. Sanders has hit a curveball out. That was inside. He's hit a fastball out. That was outside. Frank's running out of pitches and running out of places to throw Reggie Sanders. He's been up twice with 2 home runs.
One to left and one to right. There's plenty of room in center, I guess, if you're Reggie Sanders. Here's the 1-0 pitch. He tried to check his swing, went around. That's a strike.
Best place to throw Sanders is the place that Frank just threw him, and that curveball is a little tighter than it was in the first inning. So if he keeps lowing away with the breaking ball, he should have no problems with Sanders.
The 1-1 pitch in tight, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
And this is one of the guys you don't want to put on base via the base on balls. He swiped 9 bases in just 28 games coming in.
Sanders, like a lot of the Reds starting lineup, has missed time due to injury this year. Frank missing inside. Now the count runs to 3-1.
And now you're going to make another very good pitch on a hitter's count to a guy who's swinging the bat as well as anybody in this lineup over the last 2 weeks.
3 balls, 1 strike. And he gets the pitch over for strike 2. Sanders showing some discipline there, Steve. He wasn't going to pull the trigger on anything but a pitch that he really liked. Full count, 3-2. Breaking pitch misses upstairs. So Reggie Sanders aboard. That's the first walk for Castillo tonight.
And now you might want to employ a pitch out somewhere in this at bat. Sanders been thrown out 4 times. He's just starting to get his rhythm on the base paths also. He's just back in the lineup, calling timeout as Rich Rieker grants him the timeout. He's putting on the base running gloves that we've come to know and love here. And that's the thing that'll stop you from jamming that thumb when you dive head first into the base.
Eric Davis has been quiet so far tonight. Nobody out. Reggie Sanders on at first. Castillo steps off, trying to fake the runner back. Good lead already by Sanders. He's got a foot on the cutout of the infield. Davis looks at a pitch outside. 1 ball, no strikes.
Davis said when he retired it was strictly because he just could not perform any longer and the pain was getting too great. So the doctor, when he did the surgery, said it's going to take 1 year to 1.5 years to rehab, and then there's a 50% shot that you'll be well enough to play again. It's worked out exceptionally well for him.
Well, it's one of those half empty or half full type scenarios, and for Eric Davis, it was half full.
Well, he's one of the real nice guys in the game and has been since he came up, so you really have to feel good about what he's done so far and hope that he just continues to do it against teams other than the Cubs.
Strike called, and it's 1-1 strike. Elsewhere in baseball, Florida leading Atlanta 1-0 in the 5th. Philadelphia 5, Montreal 2 in the 5th inning. St. Louis leading Pittsburgh 1-0 in the 4th. And New York over Houston 3-0 in the 4th. Los Angeles, Colorado are just underway. San Diego, San Francisco haven't started yet.
Well, with that lead by Sanders, I'm thinking that this is a pitch to send him. And it's not a bad pitch to call a pitch out if you're Jim Riggleman.
The count is 1-1 strike. Service looks toward the dugout. Reggie Sanders a lead off of first, and Castillo goes over there.
If you're able to get back feet first as easily as he's able to get back, that means you're reading the move. That means you can take another half step or so on the lead.
Got basically the same lead he had before. And the pitch out called for, and it's 2-1. Nothing going that time. Now, if you're Ray Knight, be a good time to send your runner, I would think.
I would send him here, even though Davis usually is a pretty tough man to double. But he has grounded into 4 double plays this year.
Reggie Sanders the lead off of first. 2 balls and 1 strike the count on the pitch. Swing and a miss by Davis. Sanders was not going on that pitch. 2 balls and 2 strikes in the American League. Boston over Detroit 5-3 in the 6th. New York leading Baltimore 3-1 in the 4th. Milwaukee 5-0 over Toronto in the 6th. White Sox trail Cleveland 2-0 in the 4th. Minnesota, Kansas City tied at 2 in the 5th. California, Oakland and California, I should say, start later. 2-2 pitch and a changeup hit on the ground. Sandberg turns one to Hernandez, and the throw not in time to first. Davis tough to double up, and Jose didn't get a lot on that throw.
Sanders does a nice job of going into second base, trying to break up 2. Ray Knight elects not to run. Most unusual. It almost cost him a double play. You see Sanders at least changing the path of Hernandez as he comes across the bag, and they miss the double play by a step at first.
So 1 out with 1 on, and Hal Morris 0 for 2 has grounded out twice here tonight.
Davis has swiped 9 bases, but he's been caught 5 times.
As we mentioned, Cincinnati second in the league in stolen bases. Now have 85 stolen bases on the season. Do the Reds. Strike 1 call to Hal Morris.
Well, Morris doesn't run particularly well, as that graphic would indicate. Grounded into 8 double plays, and he's hit 2 ground balls tonight. You would think that somewhere along the line they would run with Eric Davis.
Davis gets a lead off of first. Not as big a lead as Reggie Sanders had. And a toss over to first to keep him close. Dodgers swiped some bases on the Cubs the other night in Los Angeles, and coming here to Cincinnati today against a team like the Reds that has good speed throughout the lineup. Pitch is taken inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. You'd figure we're going to see some real pressure on the battery of the Cubs in each of these games. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Eric Davis on at first.
That was a look at Mark Bombard, who's the third base coach, who managed a lot of these younger Reds in the minor leagues.
Frank gets a sign to his liking. Runner is going. Pitch is taken, and the throw down to second base. They've got him. Good throw by Scott Service to Jose Hernandez, erasing Eric Davis, 2 men down.
Well, Frank does a pretty good job of getting rid of it quickly, and Eric Davis, without a good lead, thrown out easily by Service. This is a good throw in plenty of time, and Sandberg putting the tag on. So for the 6th time this year, Eric Davis is gunned down.
said Hernandez. I meant to say Sandberg as he takes the throw. So 2 men down and a 2-1 count on Hal Morris. He hits a drive deep to left, and this one is out of the yard. A home run. Hal Morris, a solo homer, the 3rd of the game, hit by the Reds off Frank Castillo. And Cincinnati now leads by 2, 6-4. Well, it could have easily been a 2-run homer had they not thrown out Eric Davis.
7th home run, 27th driven in by Hal Morris, who goes the opposite way and takes Frank out of the ballpark. Not much doubt about it. Glanville knew it had the distance, and he wasn't going to get trapped too close to the wall if it bounces back to him, but unfortunately it was out.
Brings up Chris Sabo. Sabo looks at strike 1. Sabo 0 for 2, flying out deep to center, his last trip.
For Castillo, that's his 18th home run given up, and he leads the staff by a wide margin in that dubious department.
There's a strike called. No balls and 2 strikes. Been a spotty performance for Castillo here tonight. Sabo swings and misses for strike 3, and the inning is over. But the Reds get a run on the solo homer by Hal Morris. They leave the bases clean at the end of 6. It's Cincinnati 6, Chicago 4.
Houston, how many miles are we flying?
900,000. Copy?
Roger that. Can we credit that toward our frequent flyer program?
Stand by, Red Hawk. We'll get back to you.
With Southwest Airlines frequent flyer program Rapid Rewards, you don't have to fly to the moon and back to earn a free ticket. Just 8 quick round trips and your next one's free.
A couple more of these flights and I can go someplace really cool.
Rapid Rewards from Southwest, the fastest way to fly free.
Got no shirt, got no shoes, got no coat, so got me the blues.
Hey! That's because you got no Pepsi.
Now the more Pepsi you drink, the more stuff you get from the new Pepsi catalog.
Got no mansion, got no yard.
This might be the end of the blues as we know it.
Drink a lot of Pepsi, get a lot of stuff.
Visit your participating Sears store and register to win at the Pepsi display.
How far can you go on $199? Well, come to Pep Boys and you can go 80,000 miles. Because right now you can get 4 of our 80,000-mile tires for just $199. That's a full set for under $200. Oh, the roads you'll travel, the sights you'll see, the money you'll save. You can even charge them on your Pep Boys credit card. That's $199 for any size, any 4 of our 80,000-mile tires in stock. Pep Boys, everything but gas.
Bringing Chicago to your computer. WGN TV on the web. www.wgntv.com.
Twins with a mission that has all America seeing double. A Disney original, The Parent Trap.
Saturday at noon.
Ray Knight here at the outset of the 7th inning making a change.
Well, he did it, Wayne, because he wanted to see who was announced as a pinch hitter. With Terry Shumpert announced as a pinch hitter, now he'll go to the bullpen and take down John Smiley, whose night is done, and they're going to flip-flop their batting order. It looks like Chris Sabo will also leave the ball game.
We'll be back with more after these messages. So you burnt Shumpert. He was announced.
A local beauty contest, an explosive comedy. The critics are bursting with praise for Miss Firecracker. Us Magazine says it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. The Players' Tim Robbins is sensational. Premiere says Holly Hunter is superb. Roger Ebert calls it a comic treasure. Judith Christ says it's deliciously funny and exhilarating. Miss Firecracker, Saturday at 2 on WGN Channel 9.
I say Peace Corps volunteer, you think, have you ever thought? Or, in today's Peace Corps, people of all ages in almost every profession are working in 93 countries around the world. Ever thought of joining them?
Peace Corps, the toughest job you'll ever love.
Got a car, but need a new engine? Come to Pep Boys for over 1,200 quality engines, car or light truck, import or domestic, all with a 12-month unlimited mileage warranty. And you can charge it on your Pep Boys credit card. Pep Boys, everything but gas.
A reminder, tomorrow night on WGN, ER's Anthony Edwards stars as a mild-mannered schoolteacher who sets out to track down one of the Wild West's most dangerous villains. Lou Gossett Jr. co-stars in El Diablo tomorrow night at 10:30 on WGN Channel 9. Well, Ray Knight makes a couple of changes here at Cincinnati. First off, he brings on a new pitcher, Hector Carrasco, and he also moves in a new third baseman in place of Chris Sabo. Jeff Branson steps into the defense, and the pitcher will hit in Sabo's spot of the order. That would be number 7, and Branson will hit in the number 9 hole of the order. He'll bat second in the bottom of this inning.
Carrasco on for the 22nd time, a 3.29 ERA.
Louis Gonzalez is now the hitter as Jim Riggleman takes down the right-handed hitter, Terry Shumpert.
Carrasco throws awfully hard, but he's had some problems with his control. 16 walks in 27 1/3 innings.
And he checks his swing, takes the pitch upstairs. 2 balls and no strikes on Louis Gonzalez.
If you're patient with Hector Carrasco, he will fall behind in the counts consistently. Then you know a fastball is coming, and he will walk you. But you got to show some patience, and Louis usually does.
And there's a strike called. It's 2 balls and 1 strike.
Carrasco can get that fastball up there in the mid-90s. He's always had a great arm, and he came over from the Florida Marlins.
Louis Gonzalez, just 18 hits in his last 88 at-bats. And he dumps this one foul down the left field line, out of play. Count even at 2-2. We're in the top of the 7th inning. The Reds are leading by 2, 6-4. So the change by Ray Knight. He forced the opposite manager, Jim Riggleman, to burn a pinch hitter in Terry Shumpert. And now, to get a righty on lefty matchup, Louis Gonzalez comes in and he fouls another one off. It's 2-2.
Well, one thing you know about the Reds, when they go to their bullpen, they're coming in with the right-handers, and it sets up very well when a left-hander starts for the Reds, because all of your left-handed pop comes off that bench. And Jim Riggleman will have a good deal of moves to be made from the left side from here on out.
Well, he still has Bullitt, Magadan, and Houston on that bench. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Gonzo checked his swing. It's 3 balls and 2 strikes. Three balls and 2 strikes with nobody out as Gonzalez leads off the top of the 7th for the Cubs. Took a high fastball and fouled it off on the third base side.
That was ball 4, but Louis expanded his zone. He should be standing on first. We'll take another look at it. When a man throws 95, it's hard to lay off the high heat, but that's what you have to do with Carrasco.
So they work another payoff to Louis Gonzalez. Hit deep to right field. Well, not quite as deep as I thought. It jumped off the bat, but it died out in right field. And there to make the play on it, Reggie Sanders, one away.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has the right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or the use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited.
1 out, nobody on for Brian McRae. McRae 1 for 3, an infield single in the 5th. He scored a run that inning. Pitch taken down low. Carrasco out of the bullpen. As we mentioned, he had a wake-up call earlier this season when he was sent to the minor leagues. Since returning, he's pitched pretty well for this ball club. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, the Reds know that Hector Carrasco has the arm to dominate National League hitters. The question is, can he harness the control? And if he can, he is exceptionally valuable out of that pen.
Well, he's got great stuff.
Well, it could be a wonderful setup man for either Jeff Brantley or Lee Smith on occasion. The way it works is Carrasco will come in the 7th more times than not if Brantley is healthy. Lee Smith would then pitch the 8th, and then you get to Brantley. But with Brantley missing, they might ask Carrasco to go 2 innings tonight.
The 1-2 delivery to McRae, and he's still hanging in there at 1-2. Carrasco pitched an inning and 2/3 Wednesday night against the Phillies, allowing 1 unearned run on 3 hits. Since being recalled, Carrasco has a 1.37 earned run average.
And there is the all-time save leader, Lee Arthur Smith.
Brian just hacking away at it, just hanging in there to get a pitch that he likes, that he can drive somewhere. One ball, 2 strikes. Called strike 3. Strikeout number 1 for Carrasco.
I think that Brian is surprised by the slider. He's thinking about the heat. He gets a slider. There's no doubt about it. It's right down there. Although he had a word for Dana DeMuth, that's a pretty good pitch.
Strikeout number 7 for Reds pitching here tonight. Doug Glanville hits it sharply to short, but right at the all-star Barry Larkin, and the inning is over. 3 up, 3 down, nothing across for the Cubs in the 7th. They're stretching here at Riverfront, 6-4 Reds.
If you're sick or injured, Major Medical doesn't cover lots of things that touch your family. What they do, what they need, how they get from place to place. Aflac can help. Use Aflac benefits to fill the gaps other insurance doesn't cover. You decide exactly how to use it best. Then, concentrate on what's really important. Just get better.
Brain wants to be famous. Marry Prince Charles. Pinky and the Brain.
Sunday night at 6 on WGN.
Some scientists are telling us the world is getting warmer. Hey, guess we're gonna need some cooler drinks. Introducing icebreakers, the Screwdriver, the Sea Breeze, the New Orleans Hurricane. Refreshingly frozen right from your freezer, alcohol included, and basically cooler than anything you've ever tasted. Icebreakers, you're in for the chill of your life.
The Bud World Party. During the '96 Summer Games. Consider yourself invited.
Mortals become immortal. Hold the moment with United States Olympic coins of the Atlanta Centennial Olympic Games in support of our young hopefuls. Available at participating banks and stores.
The new pitcher for the Cubs here in the bottom of the 7th is Jim Bullinger.
Bullinger has seen his ERA drop below 6 as he's had a succession of good outings out of the bullpen. He's 3-5 on for the 19th time. 8 of those times out of the pen. 71 2/3 innings, given up 10 home runs. He's walked 34, fanned 49. And he'll face Taubensee, Branson, and to the top of the order, and Thomas Howard.
Bullinger's recorded a save and has given up just 2 earned runs in 13 1/3 innings pitched over the course of his relief duty since being taken down from the starting rotation. Strike 1 called on Taubensee, who's 1 for 2. Kevin Jarvis up in the Reds bullpen.
Jarvis normally a starter, so he's probably just getting some work between starts. But it could be with a short pen tonight that he would be called on. I would assume that they'll go another inning with Carrasco before turning it over to Lee Arthur.
Carrasco did work an inning and 2/3, but that was Wednesday night. Taubensee down to the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Louis Gonzalez is the new left fielder in place of Doug Glanville. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Takes it inside, and it's 2-2. And the 2-2 pitch. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Actually, ball
Make it
4.
ball 4. What did I say? So on is Eddie Taubensee. That's the second walk issued by Cubs pitching here tonight. And it brings to the plate Jeff Branson.
Well, Branson doesn't have particularly good speed, and he's really been banged up. So this becomes a good man for 2 with Grace playing behind Taubensee at first base. He's not a threat to steal.
Branson bunts it on the right side. Bullinger's up with it. He's got Grace over at first, and he throws out Jeff Branson, but the runner, Eddie Taubensee, moves into scoring position.
Good bunt by Branson. He came in the flip-flop defense for Ray Knight. He lays it down perfectly. Sacrifice 1-3. So Branson with his 4th sacrifice of the year.
Taubensee in scoring position here in the bottom of the 7th inning with the Reds leading by 2, and Thomas Howard comes to the plate. Pretty good hitter with runners in scoring position. He has singled in 3 trips here tonight, and he has to skip out of the way of that one. 1 ball, no strikes.
Well, he has 4 wild pitches, a lot of them coming on cut fastballs that he tries to run in on the hands of the left-hand hitter. And on a base hit with Taubensee at second, odds are we will see a play at the plate. He does not have particularly good speed, and Hernandez paying a little attention to him, but not overly so at second.
Jose playing behind the runner at the moment. And they're going to call that a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Thomas Howard hitting .270 in his last 29 games. But as you saw on a graphic a moment ago, hitting better than .400 with a runner in scoring position. Ray Knight has his team on top by 2. The pitch taken inside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Crowd has filled in pretty well here at Riverfront Stadium. 2 balls, 1 strike the count. And the pitch. Try to change speeds on him, and it's a strike called. Howard checking his swing. There's a look at the crowd.
To be about 30,000 here tonight.
Yeah.
For a combination baseball game and concert with Willie Nelson appearing.
Not bad. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Taubensee out at second base. And the count fills to 3-2. Reds are leading by the score of 6-4, and Bullinger with a payoff pitch coming up to Thomas Howard. And he nubs it foul on the third base side. Eddie Taubensee heads back to second base. Jim Riggleman kind of shaking his head a little bit there, isn't he? He did not like to see that home run hit by Hal Morris with 2 out of the 6th. That made his night a whole lot tougher. 3-2 pitch. Howard chops it on the ground right side. Rhino up with it to Gracie in time. 2 out, but moving into third base is Eddie Taubensee.
Well, now Scott Service is going to have to block anything down because this is an all-important man at third base, and Bullinger will probably try to throw that curveball to Boone, and a lot of those wind up low in the dirt.
Brent Boone has a single and an RBI. He has scored a run in 3 trips to the plate. The single, the RBI, and the run scored all happened in the first. And he takes a pitch for strike one call. This is not a sacrifice fly situation, but he is second in the National League in sacrifice flies with 6. Pitch hit sharply. Up with it is Grace. He steps on the bag, and the inning is over. For the Reds, no runs, no hits, no errors, and a man left. Bullinger works successfully around a leadoff walk of Taubensee, and as we go to the 8th, the Cubs are down by 2, 6-4.
Start your day with WGN Morning News.
Larry, did you tell Bill about Pam?
Oh, God. He set me up with his neighbor to go to the premiere of Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie Eraser.
Is that right?
And let me tell you, he described Pam as cute, but completely did not bill her high. She was gorgeous, most perfect-looking woman you ever saw in your life.
And look at Sam, he's just glow.
Now, what did he do for you when you went to L.A.?
Because anything can happen.
Me and his cabana boy, Rudy, went for ice cream.
Okay, great things about Wrigley Field. The ivy. The bleachers.
The neighborhood.
The smell of the grass.
The Ron Santos Pro's Pizza in that little white box.
I don't think they sell those anymore.
Man, that was good pizza.
The old scoreboard.
Yeah, the way it explodes when you hit a home run.
Aren't you thinking of that year you were with the Sox?
Oh, yeah.
Yachting is my life.
Need a second chance on your fantasy? Enter the Lotto Fantastic Fantasies drawing from the Illinois Lottery. Every time you play a $5 ticket, you get a fantasy entry form. Could be for a car, home improvement, a shopping spree, a fantastic amount of cash, or a boat. Just send in the coupons and sit back and fantasize. Of course, if you're satisfied with your present fantasy, hey, somebody's going to win their fantasy. Might as well be you.
Kirk's new creation doesn't sit well with Russell.
I think I'm down out of my drawing.
Kirk!
Sunday night at 7:30 on WGN.
Well, if the Cubs are going to make another move, this might be the inning. Grace, Sosa, and Gomez, the heart of the order, here in the top of the 8th to face Hector Carrasco. Grace is 1 for 3. He is singled and scored, and he has an RBI. And there's a strike call to mark. Grace activated today off the disabled list. And it is his birthday, 32nd birthday, if I'm not mistaken. The 0-1 delivery down low in the dirt, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike.
Tomorrow it's Mike Campbell against Mark Portugal. We won't be doing that game, but Sunday we will be doing the game. Steve Traxel versus Dave Burba. Leadoff man at 1 o'clock. Game time 1:15 here from Riverfront. And a good matchup, Traxel and Burba.
Traxel's had good success against the Reds in his career. 1-1 pitch, and Gracie lays off that delivery. Gets the benefit of the doubt from the home plate umpire Dana DeMuth that it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Hasn't had a hit against this guy yet. Which means he's overdue, right?
Always time for the first. Not this time.
Fly ball into center field, and waiting for it is Eric Davis. Pounds the glove, makes the catch, 1 away.
Cub fans, get your tickets now for the All-Star Kids Clinic Tuesday, July 9th at Wrigley Field. Here's your chance to go on the field, run the bases, and learn baseball from the pros. Enjoy exhibits from the Shed Aquarium, the Lincoln Park Traveling Zoo, and much more. So for more information, call 312-404-CUBS.
Sammy Sosa singled in the 3rd. He reached on an error in the 1st. He grounded out in the 5th. A roundabout way to describe his performance at the plate tonight. 1 out, nobody on, and Carrasco on a relief of Smiley. Sosa a wave and a miss.
It's hard to believe, but it's true. Brady Anderson leading all home run hitters in both leagues with 26 home runs.
Bell and McGuire 25 apiece. Sosa has 25. Henry Rodriguez 25. Pitch taken outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Reds play Sosa deep and straight away in the outfield. They're back on the infield as well. 1 out, nobody on, and the pitch is upstairs. 2 balls and 1 strike. The Reds, as I mentioned, were averaging about 22,200 fans in the first 28 home dates here at Riverfront, but since Marge Schott's ouster, so to speak, out of the day-to-day operations of this club, they are averaging in excess of 25,000. Sosa hits it high and deep to right field, but with room. Making the catch in front of the warning track is Reggie Sanders, and they're 2 men down. And again, that ball jumped off of Sammy's bat, but he just got under it a little bit. And there's Marge Schott. She is not running the ball club on a day-to-day basis, but is very much in presence here at the ballpark on a regular basis.
Well, she was on the field before the game leading around a pack of youngsters who certainly enjoy her presence here, as do the fans in Cincinnati, as they ask her for a lot of autographs. They don't want to stop her from doing that. They just would like to stop her from day-to-day operations. And for the time being, John Allen has done a pretty nice job. He's on a 60-day trial, and we'll see what then happens here in Cincinnati, where there's never a dull moment.
The 0-1 pitch to Gomez in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 out, nobody on for the Cubs in the 8th inning. Grace is flying out to center. Sosa to right. The 1-1 pitch. That's in there for a strike call. Steve, in this ballpark, does the ball carry as well at night as it does during the day?
I don't think the ball carries anywhere at night as well as during the daytime. Not here in Cincinnati, certainly not in Los Angeles, where the Cubs just came from. But this is a fair park. It's 330 down the line, 375. It's symmetrical. It's 404 to center field.
Gomez hits a fly ball into shallow left field. Coming on for it, Thomas Howard makes the catch. 1, 2, 3 go the Cubs in the 8th. Carrasco's retired all 6 batters he's faced and protects a 2-run Cincinnati lead heading to the bottom of the 8th.
This portion of Cubs baseball on WGN is brought to you by Aflac, insuring over 38 million people worldwide.
Ordinary credit cards charge interest from the moment you buy something, if you carry a balance as little as $1.
I didn't know that.
It's true. But the Optima True Grace card from American Express doesn't. So you could save money by switching to the Optima True Grace card. I can? Yes, you can. Apply now and you'll also get a special low introductory rate of just 7.9% for 12 months. And there's no annual fee. So you'll save even more. Start saving on interest charges. Don't delay. Call for your Optima True Grace card from American Express. Remember, the Optima True Grace card is the first major credit card with an interest-free grace period, even when you carry a balance.
And that adds up to a lot of savings.
You can apply right over the phone. Call 1-800-4-OPTIMA. Stop paying interest you don't have to. Now.
Sir, I'm not feeling very well. I'm going home to rest. I should be fine in the morning, though.
If you're playing baseball hooky, you need a baseball hooky mobile from your Chrysler and Plymouth dealer. Like the award-winning Plymouth Voyager, with room for 7 people with Cubs fever for this great price, which will leave you with plenty of hot dog money. Official baseball hooky mobiles only from the stars of Cubbyland, your Chrysler and Plymouth dealer.
Arnold Harris has spared no expense. We've got cameras all over the Queen City of the Midwest, Cincinnati, Ohio. Good to have you with us tonight for Cubs baseball. Cubs trailing the Reds 6-4. Bottom of the 8th inning, Barry Larkin, Reggie Sanders, Eric Davis to face Jim Bullinger.
And Lee Smith loosening up in the bullpen, so that's probably going to be it for Carrasco, who's done his job. 2 perfect innings, getting the game to Smith. He's throwing because Jeff Brandley has got a sore leg. Lee's been in this position a few times during the course of his career. He already has 1 save for the Reds.
1 ball, no strikes the count as Larkin showed bunt on the first pitch. Checked his swing there, and it's strike 1 call. 1 ball to 1 strike. Barry Larkin doesn't seem to be quite as happy-go-lucky as he's been in the past. I think that back giving him problems. The team getting off to such a slow start. A lot of different things.
I just think when you have a sore neck and it affects you every time you go out to the field, it can't be the happiest time of his career, realizing that that particular bulging disc problem is probably going to be chronic. He said for the time being he doesn't consider surgery an option.
2 balls and 2 strikes. And it's a disc up in his neck, so way in terms of the back. I mean, it's up in the neck area, right?
Yes.
Two balls, 2 strikes, and the pitch hit on the ground. Base hit center field. So Larkin aboard with his second hit of the night.
I will also mention at this time, Wayne, that disc or no disc, if they ever want to part with Barry Larkin, he would look terrific in Cubby blue.
Yeah, you think so? You think we could find a spot for him?
He's quite a player and has been since he stepped into this league. And now the bullpen going to start up one more time. It looks like Kent Bottenfield. It's because it is Kent Bottenfield.
Reggie Sanders steps in. Sanders, 2 home runs and a walk here tonight. He has scored twice. Larkin aboard a leadoff single, and Bullinger goes that way to keep him close. Barry with 16 stolen bases. He's been caught stealing 4 times. Florida leading Atlanta 2-0 now. That ball game in the bottom of the 8th. St. Louis over Pittsburgh 2-0, bottom of the 7th. Mets leading Houston 6-2 in the bottom of the 6th. Pitch inside, runner going, throw down to second, not in time. Larkin head first is in with his 17th stolen base.
Well, you know Larkin's going to be running. He is the best of the red base runners, and Bullinger is always a long, slow delivery, and not much of a chance really for service. He was 1 for 2 coming in. This isn't a good throw, but Larkin had such a good jump that anything except for a pinpoint throw had no chance, and Larkin in with his 17th. And here comes Jim Riggleman. Gives us a chance to tell you that I'd like to pass along congratulations to David and our Villa Kinsella from Des Plaines, longtime Cub fans, celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary. And that was yesterday.
Riggleman with a conference at the mound. They've got Reggie Sanders at the plate and a count of 1 ball, no strikes. Bottenfield loosening in the bullpen, and Bob Patterson, the only left-hander on the squad, is also up. So Riggleman gives his righty and lefty in the bullpen a chance to warm up a bit. Bullinger, meanwhile, will go after Reggie Sanders. Barry Larkin's in scoring position. Nobody out. Larkin going, and the pitch hits Sanders.
That's probably a break because Larkin has to go back to second. He would have walked into third base as Bullinger just forgot about him. So they hit Sanders, and Larkin has to go back to second. He was sliding into third almost before that ball hit Reggie Sanders. And Jim Bullinger has got to remember he's got one of the league's best base runners on, and he completely forgot about him. Look at this jump by Larkin. He never looks at him. He's standing at third.
The ball off of Reggie Sanders, and you could see Larkin was just about into the headfirst slide at that point. And there would have been no chance that they could have gotten him. And here's Eric Davis with runners at first and second. Davis 0 for 3 here tonight. He came in hitting .289 with 14 home runs and 47 driven in to lead the club in both categories. Pitch taken down low, 1 ball, no strikes. Nobody out. Runners at first and second. The Cubs are trailing by 2. 6-4 here in the bottom of the 8th inning. There's a look at the runners.
Well, Bullinger throws a lot of ground balls. He needs one here, and as hard as Eric Davis hits the ball on this artificial surface, if he hits a ground ball, it can easily turn into 2.
Sandberg to the second base bag. Bullinger steps off the rubber. Let's pause here for station identification.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN-TV, Chicago.
WGN News follows our game. The 1-0 pitch, and that's down low. 2 balls and no strikes. You know, tonight on WGN News following the ball game, it's not football season yet, but there's plenty of male bonding tonight at Soldier Field. If you think it's hot now, oh boy, wait till tomorrow. On the news after the game.
Bullinger has to keep his eye on Larkin. He got a very good jump and was moving off with the pitch.
And I think Bullinger's somewhat rattled here. He hasn't been close to Eric Davis. It's 3 balls and no strikes. Larkin continues to jump, trying to get into Bully's peripheral vision. And after what happened when he hit Reggie Sanders, I'm sure Jim now very concerned about the presence of Larkin out at second base and perhaps distracted by it.
Well, if he doesn't get Eric Davis, he's going to bring in Patterson to face Hal Morris.
3 balls and no strikes. Davis chops it to Leo Gomez. Diving stab, has no play, and the bases are loaded. A great play by Leo Gomez just to keep that on the infield. But the bases are loaded nonetheless.
Good hustle by Barry Larkin. There's no chance for Leo at third base, and you've got no chance at all even thinking about Eric Davis. And so the bases are loaded with nobody out. That's going to be it for Bullinger. The 3-0 green light. Eric Davis takes it right down the line. And an outstanding effort by Gomez. He saves definitely 1, possibly 2, and here comes Bob Patterson.
We'll be back to tell you about the new Cubs pitcher after these messages.
If you need extra strength medication to treat foot itch, you're not alone.
I didn't have athlete's foot, but my feet really itched and hurt.
Now you can solve your foot itch problems with Extra Strength Gold Bond medicated powder.
Extra Strength Gold Bond made everything feel cool.
Extra Strength Gold Bond has extra strength triple action. We take our proven absorbing action, then add more medication for itch relief and extra zinc oxide for drying action.
Extra Strength Gold Bond made me a lot more comfortable. This one really works.
Extra Strength Gold Bond medicated powder.
We've been coming here ever since I was a kid. Do I have to tell you how many years?
Save on fun at Indiana Beach Amusement and Camp Resort with free discount coupons in the travel section of this Sunday's Chicago Tribune. Ride 3 great coasters, 5 water slides, and the longest action river in the U.S. General admission still only $1.50, and there's plenty of free parking. Indiana Beach on beautiful Lake Shaver, Monticello, Indiana, proving once again there is more than corn in Indiana.
Bob Patterson is the new pitcher for the Cubs, and he's in quite a predicament. Bases loaded with Reds, nobody out, and Hal Morris coming to the plate.
Patterson 2-2, the ERA 2.13 on for the 40th time. That leads the staff by a wide margin, as you would expect for the only left-hander in the pen. He's given up 4 home runs. He's walked 12, fanned 29. And odds are he's on to face one hitter, that being Hal Morris. Look at Jim Bullinger. Ran into some trouble here in the 8th inning, loading the bases with nobody out. We'll see if Patterson and probably Bottenfield after him can get out of this inning and keep the deficit at 2.
Tim Belk, an infielder, is in the on-deck circle. He will hit in the pitcher's spot. So Hal Morris will get a look here at a guy who's been very successful this season. Bob Patterson has allowed just 2 runs in his last 14 appearances spanning 9 innings. He's allowed just 7 of his 40 inherited runners to score. The Cubs are trailing by 2, 6-4. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning. Hal Morris, who homered his last trip to the plate, steps in with the bases loaded and nobody out. Larkin on third. On second, Sanders. On first, Eric Davis. And here's the first pitch, and it's fouled back.
hard to envision 3 faster base runners on. Cincinnati has their best on base, the infield in at all 4 positions. And you can bet that Patterson's going to be trying to crowd Morris if he goes to the fastball.
So Bob Patterson from the stretch. And he misses away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Just a setup pitch there, perhaps, again?
I don't think he wanted him to hit the ball away. I think that he's getting him to look out there, maybe to come in on his hands. Trying to get that little pop-up in the infield by jamming him.
Base is loaded. 1 ball, 1 strike the count on Morris. And he hits a fly ball to left field. Louis Gonzalez ranges back, makes the catch. Tagging at third and scoring is Barry Larkin. Sanders holds at second. Davis at first. And the Reds have a 3-run lead, 7-4.
28th run of the year, 2nd of the night for Hal Morris, who got the fly ball in a situation where he needed it. So Hal Morris with his 4th sacrifice fly of the year. And Patterson stays in the ball game.
Well, that brings up Tim Belk to pinch hit for the pitcher, Hector Carrasco. And Belk steps to the plate. 2 for 5 this season, batting .400. 1 ball, no strikes. Belk was recalled by the Reds Tuesday from Indianapolis, their AAA ball club. And he made his debut in Game 1 of a doubleheader against Philadelphia that day. Here's the 1-0 pitch, and he fouls it back, and this one heading right to us and just a bit short. You sure those foul balls get here?
They do on occasion. Belk was born right here in Cincinnati. There's been a lot of great players from this area, including Pete Rose, Don Zimmer, Barry Larkin, the Brinkman brothers. The list goes on, local products in the Cincinnati area.
1 ball to 1 strike, and here's the throw to second base, and Sanders slides in safely. Sandberg taking the throw from Patterson. Reds are leading 7-4. Reggie Sanders at second. Eric Davis on at first. And Tim Belk swings and misses for strike 2. It's 1-2. Cincinnati has won 5 in a row and 9 of 13. The runners lead away from first and second. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 1 out. Lined down the right field line toward the corner. It's foul. Sanders retreats to the second base bag. Meanwhile, Tim Belk continues in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
The Cubs will play exclusively in their division till the 22nd of July. So they got a long stretch of central foes coming up, and it's a time to make something happen.
The 1-2 pitch. Fly ball, right field. Sosa going back for it. Just in front of the warning track, makes the catch. And moving on to third base is Reggie Sanders. Runners at the corners with 2 men down.
Well, at first Sanders did not tag up, and then eventually he went back to the bag, knowing that this one was going to drive Sammy back to the track, and he tagged up, moved along easily. And I got to believe Joe Oliver will come on to pinch hit, or I would think so anyway.
And that's going to be the case. Joe Oliver will hit for Eddie Taubensee.
That'll bring, no doubt, Kent Bottenfield in from the bullpen.
And again, Steve, the procedure here, well, Riggleman's coming out now, but sometimes you'll see a hitter be announced, get up to the plate, and then the pitching change made, and thus if the manager in the other dugout wants to make another change and burn a pinch hitter, that's what you force him to do. But right here, Jim out to the mound gets Bob Patterson. We'll be back with the stats on Kent Bottenfield after these messages.
Training is such a bore.
Nothing's more intense than slamming a dude. Well, Andre's really on fire. Whoa. Gotta hand it to those new coaches.
Bravo! Brilliant! Smashing! Good shot!
Out.
Menards paves the way to low prices. Keep your driveway looking like new with Blackjack products. Speedway grade filler and sealer is rubber fortified for extra durability. Just $9.92 for a 5-gallon pail. Landscape along sidewalks, flower beds, and more with scalloped concrete edging. It's easy to install. Choose from red or gray, 99 cents a 2-foot piece. Menards is your headquarters for landscape products.
Save big money at Menards.
Kent Bottenfield is on the pitch for the Cubs. And he will face Joe Oliver. Situation for Ray Knight where he couldn't burn Oliver even if he wanted to, because Oliver is hitting in place of the catcher. Was announced while he was in the on-deck circle. And so Ray Knight will have to stay with him because he's the only other catcher on the roster in this matchup with Bottenfield, a right-hander.
Bottenfield's done a nice job, has yet to give up a run. This is 6th appearance. He inherits base runners at 1st and 3rd. And Joe Oliver coming on. Oliver probably the better catcher defensively in a very warm evening. Reggie Sanders has been a busy man. He's been on base every time with a couple of home runs, a walk, and been hit by a pitch. And Bottenfield will have to keep his eye on Eric Davis at first base.
Chrysler Plymouth game summary. Sanders' 3rd career 2-home run game. Castillo went 6 innings, gave up 6 earned runs, and Cincinnati 4-0 on the current 7-game homestand, looking to stretch that record to 5-0 at home and 6-0 overall on their winning streak. Joe Oliver, the hitter, and he takes the pitch outside for ball 1.
Like Al Leiter and the Florida Marlins shut out Tom Glavine in Atlanta 2-0.
Tell you what, Florida is very capable in terms of their pitching staff. There's no doubt about that. Oliver at 229, 5 doubles, a triple, 3 homers, and 15 runs knocked in. Eric Davis running from 1st to 2nd, and the pitch is fouled off. So it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
And with the kind of lead that Davis got, you wonder why Oliver swung at it, because Davis could have walked into second base.
The Reds are leading it 7-4. They have scored 4 in the 1st, 1 in the 3rd, another run in the 6th, and then 1 so far here in the 8th. But 2 men down with 2 runners on. Kent Bottenfield trying to get the Cubs out of this inning. Bottenfield with the oldest move in the books. That move hasn't worked since Moses parted the Red Sea. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out. Check swing foul on the right side, and it's 1-2.
The Dodgers running into some problems under Bill Russell. They have yet to win a game, and they trailed Colorado tonight 4-0 in the 4th inning.
It's in Denver. I don't think 4 runs will get it done there.
Not usually. But they were murdered 13-1 last night.
Runner going from 1st to 2nd. Swing and a miss by Oliver, and this inning is over. The Reds scratch together a run on a couple of hits, and they lead 2. To the 9th inning we go. The Cubs challenge, make up a 3-run deficit. They trail the Reds 7-4.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, celebrating 25 years of low fares, frequent flights, and fun.
Look, it's the world's first on-battery tester from Energizer.
You just press the dots to make sure your battery will keep going and going. A battery like this deserves to be in the spotlight, preferably alone.
Rust-Oleum, the ultimate defense against weather.
After one half of football, San Francisco leads New York 540 to 310.
In the future, it won't be just how hard you play, but how good your sports drink works. With a third more carbs than Gatorade and B vitamins to unlock carbohydrate energy. All Sport is not just a thirst quencher. It's a body quencher.
Isn't that new 300-pound ball? Yeah, here you go.
Making it to the pros takes a certain level of excellence, the experience to get the job done right, and a reputation for quality. Like top-quality CarQuest shocks and struts, professional technicians choose CarQuest gas-charged shocks and struts because they can be confident they're installing the best ride around. So for the best possible performance, install what the pros install. CarQuest. Welcome to the pros.
Lane will discover the man she loves is not who he seems. What are you doing? Savannah.
Sunday at 8 on WGN.
Back at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. Now he's got that camera on a paddle boat. How about that? My goodness, what a beautiful night in Cincinnati for this ball game. The Cubs are down by 3. We come to the top of the 9th inning, and Lee Arthur Smith is out on the mound to greet Sandberg, Service, and Hernandez.
Smith at 1-1, ERA 2.13, on for the 13th time as a Red. He has given up a home run. He's fanned 9. He's walked 5.
Ryne Sandberg 0 for 3 here tonight. Looks at the first pitch strike.
Lee changed around most everything as far as his repertoire is concerned. He used to be just a fireballer. Now he throws a pretty good slider, and he's always had very good control.
The 0-1 delivery to Sandberg, and he misses outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. We mentioned earlier Jeff Brantley out of this ball game tonight with a leg injury. Lee Smith is on. He pitched in game 2 of a doubleheader Tuesday night here at Riverfront. 2 scoreless innings. Sandberg down to the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Those 2 men were responsible in great ways for the '84 division winner as teammates with the Cubs. And not much after that, Lee Smith made a few other stops and collected a lot of saves.
Yes, he did. 1-2 pitch. Smith missing in the dirt, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. 1984, Steve, that was before I got to Chicago. That was looking at it from outside Chicago, that was really a wonderful year. I think just about everybody in the country was following the Cubs in their drive to the National League Eastern Division title that year.
Well, it was pretty exciting for a while. The Mets put on a pretty good run, but the Cubs withheld them and then went up 2-0 in the playoffs before running into Steve Garvey and company in San Diego, and what a disappointment that was.
And didn't they lambaste the Padres in game 1 of that series at Wrigley Field in the afternoon?
Dominated both games, as a matter of fact.
And then just couldn't get the final game they needed in a best-of-5 series, and the Padres went on to the World Series against Detroit. 2 balls and 2 strikes, and here's the pitch to Sandberg, and he's still in there. He fouls it away, 2-2. '89, also a great year for the Cubs. They win a division championship. The Boys of Zimmer. And Don Zimmer had a great run there. And again, the Cubs were knocked out of the playoffs, this time by the Giants. Chopper up the middle. Can it get through? No. Larkin behind the bag. The throw. Not in time. Sandberg beats it out for an infield base hit. Excellent play by Larkin, and Sandberg beat it down the first base line as fast as he could, and he's on base with a leadoff single.
Larkin wound up almost down the right field line trying to make this play. As he goes up the middle, you saw the crazy hop it took after Rhino hit the ball, and Larkin took some time to get rid of it. Got it there just a shade late as Sandberg ties the throw in the estimation of Rich Rieker. And the replay looked like he might have had him, so the Cubs get a break.
And here's Scott Service. Service 0 for 3 with Sandberg aboard. Again, the thing you want to avoid here is the double play. Service a swing and a miss for strike one. Service has hit into 13 double plays this season. The producer director of Cubs baseball is Arnie Harris. Joe Corneo is our associate producer. The executive producer of WGN Sports is Bill Borson. Sandberg a lead away from first. Service fouls off another. And it's no balls and 2 strikes. Talk about active career leaders in saves. Lee Smith at the top of that list.
I don't think anybody's going to catch him.
This guy will be in Canton someday. Or Canton, I should say, in Cooperstown someday.
He's big enough to be in Canton.
Yeah, he could be in Canton if he wants to start another career. Pitch misses outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. I'm having one of those nights, Stoney, where when I say it's just coming out wrong. 1-2 the count. Sandberg the lead away from first. Nobody out. Service lines it foul down the left field line.
Smitty hung a slider. And Service got around a little too quickly.
1 ball and 2 strikes the count. Don't forget WGN News following the game. Sandberg aboard at first. 1 ball, 2 strikes in the pitch. And this one drifting foul and out of play down the right field line. Lee Smith acquired by the Reds May 27th from the Angels in exchange for left-hander Chuck McElroy.
It's been a trade that's really helped both clubs. McElroy's done a nice job for the Angels, and Lee Smith a good job here in Cincinnati.
1-2 the count. Cubs have come from behind on a number of occasions this season. Service back up the middle. That's a base hit. The Cubs get the tying run to the plate with nobody out.
Boy, it certainly helps not having Jeff Brantley available, because as good as Lee Smith is these days, he's not near the dominator he once was, and the Cubs have a shot. So Hernandez will be taken down. Scott Bullitt will come up, and you'll have Bullitt, Gonzalez, and McRae all from the left side, and Jeff Shaw now starting to get loosened up.
So Scott Bullitt will come on, and Bullitt starting to put things together. 7 for 28 as a pinch hitter with 5 runs scored, 2 walks, and an RBI. And he's a .300 hitter as a pinch hitter in his career.
Well, like most pinch hitters, they go up there looking first ball, fastball, and he's liable to get one from Lee Smith. Scott Bullitt has enough power to tie up this game with 1 swing of the bat.
Runners lead away from first and second. That's Sandberg on at second base. Service on at first.
And Turk Wendell starting to get loosened up in the bullpen for the ever optimistic Jim Riggleman.
Why not? His club's come from behind to win 16 times this year. Swing and a miss by Bullitt, who apparently got a pitch to his liking. Jim Riggleman has seen his club get off to a good start on this, its longest road trip of the season. The grizzled veteran Lee Arthur Smith on the mound. And here's the pitch to Bullitt. Lays off the delivery down low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ryne Sandberg at second. Scott Service on at first. Nobody out. 1-1 pitch, and it's hit hard and right at the first baseman, Hal Morris. He goes to second, and Barry Larkin to erase Scott Service. Meanwhile, Sandberg to third, and Bullitt on at first on the fielder's choice.
Somewhat surprising that Hal Morris would risk the long throw and perhaps the bad throw here when he had an easy play at first. But he keeps the double play in order. And Larkin knows that there's not going to be a return throw, so he acts as a first baseman, just getting the force out. That one goes into left field. The Cubs are in business.
Runners at first and third, and now Luis Gonzalez represents the tying run of the plate. Louis flied out to right his first trip. He came on in the 7th inning. And he hits it sharply right at Hal Morris. Steps on the first base bag to double off Scott Bullitt. And this game is over. Take a look at it again. A line-out double play on the first pitch to Luis Gonzalez here in the top of the 9th inning, and Lee Smith gets the save. Boy, Gonzo hit it sharply, but Hal Morris, nice play, and that is that. For the Cubs, no runs, couple of hits, no errors, and they leave a man. The final score, Cincinnati 7, Chicago 4. Back after these messages.
Your post-game edition of WGN News is next.
For Jordan at the lakefront, the sun is down, the temperatures have fallen, but an ozone alert still persists. I'll tell you how this may affect you coming up in just a moment.
Tens of thousands of men are at Soldier Field tonight. No, there's not a Bears game. It has nothing to do with sports at all. Find out what's got these guys hooked, and is it something for you? Plus traffic troubles for a weekend jam-packed with activities, tips to avoid the tie-ups. Next on WGN News.
Haley Mills and Haley Mills.
Switch places. Switch.
Twins with a mission in the Disney classic that has America seeing double. They'll do anything to bring their family together.
Surprise!
Maureen O'Hara and Brian Keith star in Disney's original tale of terrific twins, The Parent Trap.
Saturday at noon on WGN Channel 9.
Hi, I'm Ryan Sandberg for Chrysler Plymouth with another astounding Cubs coincidence. May 2nd, the Cubbies drive home a run safely. Later that day, Chrysler Town & Country, with its room for 7, drives home a family safely. Chance? Not a chance.
This amazing alignment of baseball stars and terrific cars was brought to you by the Stars of Cubbyland, your Chrysler and Plymouth dealer.
You bought a performance car. Why not buy a performance gasoline?
This portion of Cubs baseball is brought to you by CarQuest Auto Parts, offering top quality parts for the vehicles America's driving. For the store near you, call 1-800-492-PART.
Celebrate the academic achievements of Chicago's up-and-coming young African Americans. The NAACP AXO Awards, Sunday at 11 on WGN.
Budweiser play of the game. Bottom of the first, score tied 2-2 with a runner aboard. Reggie Sanders hits a home run. There's a double. I should say that's Barry Larkin with the double that puts the Reds ahead as it scores Brett Boone. And I should say the Bud play of the game, that tied the game on that double in the first inning that gave the Reds a 2-2 tie. And eventually Reggie Sanders, the next hitter up, hit a 2-run homer to left field, and the Reds were never headed from there. Back with some final comments after these messages.